You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, we're definitely back. I am back in Philly after 5 days in Atlantic City for the 94th Eastern Regional Conference of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And I was proud to be there as a delegate and had a huge blast. Okay. Recovering. It was a time. It was a time. I partied like a rock star, did some incredible work, served my fraternity very well, and had some great time with some friends, some family. It was a very awesome time. And I'm going to get more into it later in this segment because I want to get to some other things, but I want to just say, like, I had so much fun that I wasn't really on my cell phone that much. Like, I was not, I posted some pictures, but I was like so deep in conversation and so in the moment that, like, I gave a couple of little snippets here and there, and a lot of stuff we just really can't because I was a delegate. So we was in business, like sessions and meetings and things. A lot of that stuff is not open to the public. So I just was like, a lot of people was like, "Oh, what's going on?" I say it's popping, it's fun. But it's like a lot of it you really can't really film. And also I was just so in the moment that I really didn't want to just be like it wasn't like a journalism event where you're out and you're covering news, you make, whatever. A lot of it was very like, internal. And so it was great to have a little bit of an escape from the rest of the world because I knew a lot of things were happening in the news. And I had a viral moment this weekend, talking about a very disgraced man who was a member of my fraternity who was in the news, and another man who is a journalist, and a member of my fraternity that also just it was a lot going on this weekend, and I have a lot of thoughts, and so I enjoyed having a couple of days to just be with good friends, good family. My brother's first Alpha conference, my lit brother George's first Alpha conference. Like, it was like their first big, experience in Alpha land, like on a huge scale. Like, yeah, we do things, chapter meetings, all the things like that. But this was like their first big, huge, like, expansive Alpha opportunity. So to be able to go out with them and represent and say, hey, these are my guys, these are my neos, these are my brothers, like it was awesome. It was awesome. Things like this can bring family together. I really, like, my younger brother he's been in Philly for a couple years, and I think what's awesome about it is that he can see my versatility and my leadership and see who I am. Like, he hears about it, in a vicarious way, but to see how it expands. I think we had dinner, I think it was Friday or whatever. We were just talking. He's just like pretty much was like, you're a big deal everywhere you go. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, how was this? He just noticed this, like, in different spaces, not just in journalism or media or in Philly. Like, I can go anywhere and make an impact. And it's just kind of cool to be able to have people in your family and people just see you shine in different capacities. And yeah, and it's so inspiring. And I was just very touched. But speaking of brothers, my youngest brother is 16 years old. Yes, my youngest brother, my baby brother, the youngest of the whole entire group, is 16. His birthday is on 4/20, which means that 4/20 for him is a birthday. Nothing more, nothing less. Today is also, Monday is also my last day of teaching for the spring semester at Community College of Philadelphia. So I'll be wrapping up what has been a very active semester. It's been a very active semester. I taught four courses, two online and two in person, but it was a very, very energized. And I think it was because there was a lot of things going on. We had the snow days, we had just a lot of different unique conversations. I think this was like the real semester where AI was like a real conversation. Like I know people were like, "Oh, ChatGPT has been around. It's been in the mix for the year." But I feel like this semester, just as a professor, the AI situation was a real like conversation. Like really getting on top of it. I mean, students have been using it for a while, but not necessarily in my class, or maybe because of the type of assignments. I don't know. But this semester, um, AI definitely was a conversation. And I don't know if it's because it's more advanced or because, there's I guess, a different crop of students who are coming in that, because I definitely had a more younger class set. And I think maybe that's what it is, because normally I have a more diverse set, but I think because this is one of the courses I taught is a mandatory course. I think it's also spring semester. A lot of the freshmen, or the first years, a lot of them had my class, and it was a more younger group, and so a lot of them also had never been to college prior. So some of my, of course, older students who are like in their 30s or in their 40s or whatnot, some of them are, went to college prior, didn't, get a 4-year degree. They dropped out. They wanted to take different courses in their certificate program. So a lot of them come from already informed college knowledge of expectations on work and all the things. But that's very different from some of my students who this is their first time in college, period. And they went to, I mean, this is a community college, so a lot of them have went to public school. And their understanding about, citing sources, acknowledging contributions from outside sources. It's not, at least for me, what I'm noticing about these conversational AIs, that we're talking a lot about, okay, students are lazy. The narratives are typically that they're lazy, that they're just wanting the thing to think for them, X, Y, and Z. But I think what I have found, at least from my observations, is that a lot of the students that are using this technology are literally using it because they actually don't know how to actually do what is being asked of them. Like when it comes to like citing sources and knowing how to find legitimate sources and to do APA, like they just don't actually know how to do it. And so they're so caught up in being perfectionists that they're not really taking that time. And so, at least in my class this semester, I made time in the beginning of the semester to discuss, like in the very first 2 weeks, to really just have a conversation about plagiarism and like what are credible sources. Like look at me. I think a lot of professors, in my opinion, not all, but a lot of them, are so used to just assuming that students have already gone through this track. That, oh, everybody knows how to cite sources, and if you don't know, go online, look it up. But it's not so much of just telling people to do these things, but actually explaining to them why they should do it. Why is this indented this way? Like, why do you have to put the page number? Like actually explaining to them why, outside of this law enforcement mentality of, oh, you're not citing, that's plagiarism and you can get expelled. Like it's not enough. And I think what I realized is that actually explaining to them, why do we cite this way? What is APA? What does that actually mean? Right? What does it actually mean to Why do you do the last name and the comma and the page number? Why do you um, make sure you put a parentheses in the year? Um, how do you cite it properly? What does it mean to quote? What does it mean to paraphrase? Right? Why can't you always paraphrase? Right? Why that's not a good use of writing a paper? But this is actually like conversing with students in a very non-judgmental, safe space at the beginning, right? Before you give assignments. But like what, like, because I've realized this semester that a lot of my students don't even know why they're citing. Like they'll just go, well, because I don't want to get expelled, because that's plagiarism. But they actually don't even understand what plagiarism actually is. Like what it really means, and how, even if, right, that you are citing sources in APA, that you could still be plagiarizing if, you're not necessarily using quotation marks, or you're using it in a way where you're thinking that simply putting the citation there is just enough, or that your entire paper is nothing but citations and there's actually no analysis. Like there's just a lot that I realize that people are not having conversations about. Like they're just doing what they're told, but they're not actually doing to know, right? Like are you doing what you're told, or are you doing something you know? And so I focused on, at least in this time around, even as I move forward, if this not, like when it comes to academic integrity and scholarship, that it's just not enough to just tell people, do this, this is why, the end. And now that has worked in the past with some of my older students, where they already been through this. They already went to college. They already have done papers. They went to high school at a time where professors had them doing, I mean, not professors, but like their teachers were, that was more of the conversations. And you didn't really have all of this other technology that can do these things for you. Because what I've noticed is that in the past, my students they just didn't do AI at all. There are students who are using AI to help them organize their sources and citations. They're not letting them write the paper, but even how they're citing is just not correct. Like they're using AI not to actually plagiarize. Like they're not using it to just write their paper because they're quote unquote lazy. There's some people that do that shit, and that's just like there's no excuse for that. Like you didn't even try. But I'm even noticing students who are actually writing, like actually are, doing the research, but are using AI in ways to think for them and all the things. And that was the real challenge of like being able to say, hey, this is not the proper, like, I know you're using AI to help cite your paper or like do it for, like, there's some technology, I don't know what this shit is, but like there's this thing where apparently the paper can know, like if you already have your sources, it's supposed to be able to help you place them. It's inaccurate. Like it's not, they don't know what they're doing. And so I tell students, why would you trust your entire paper with something you can't really hold accountable? So if AI, whatever software you're using fucks up, your grades fucked up. I didn't say it like that, but that was the logic. If it messes up, there's nothing accountable to it. So like if I go to a restaurant and my steak is not prepared properly, I know who made the steak. I can bring the chef down and bring the team and say, hey, I asked for this, whatever. But if you're going to put your academic career in the hands of a software technology that you don't have no way of calling and confronting or whatever, you can't message them back and say, hey, this is wrong, what's up? You just giving information to some random machine to think for you, then yeah, you're going to have a serious issue. And so I had a couple of situations where there were students who, again, did not, intentionally plagiarize in the way that, you know, someone's writing something and copying the whole damn thing, but they just had issues with these citation things, and they were using it. They were like, "Look, I didn't use it to write my paper." I was like, "That's cool, but you use it to try to cite your paper for you." And again, it's not to me the biggest crime in the world, but I was like, "Hey, don't use it at all." So I have a real big, huge like anti-AI policy. Like I just don't, because just don't use it on your paper at all. If you want to use it as a means of research, you can try, but talking to a chat GPT machine to give you information, they're not perfect. They're not perfect. The information is not, sometimes it's not accurate. Like there was a situation where I asked a student, like it was a student who, I don't remember what it was specifically, but they were doing something on Britney Spears, and y'all know I'm a Britney. I love me some Britney. And there was some stat about her, and they had the year wrong, and I think it was about her being the richest. Like Forbes had put her as the richest celebrity at the time when it came out. But I know Britney so well. Well, information about her that I was like, that year is not accurate. That was not when she was named. That she had that, because the timeline of Britney Spears. Anybody who, all of my my millennials, like we know when Britney was on top of the world, and I think whatever the date was, something they said that it was 2008 or whatever, that Britney Spears was named the richest celebrity or a pop star or something like that, or a grossing pop star, whatever, of the year. And I was like, absolutely not. Because anybody who knows Britney's career, you all know that 2008 is when she made her comeback after a very tumultuous career situation. Like, Britney was making a comeback. She was coming back late 2008, after everything. And that's when she had the Circus album. So when I like heard this, I was like, no, this is not correct. Of course, they wanted to stand on it with me, and that's the worst mistake a student can make, is when they try to, be like, no, you got to. I said, I don't need you to tell me. I am the encyclopedia of Britney Spears. I'm telling you that data is not correct. So what ended up happening is that the article to which they got the information, the article, ChatGPT or whatever had, I guess, confused the article year that wrote that as the year that she was named. And actually, it was in the earlier 2000s, which we all know, like 2001, 2002, that's when Britney was really making in the big bucks. The article in 2008 was actually an article talking about her comeback, because that was when Womanizer and all that came out. And they basically, the article, they switched the year that the article named that, which was when they mentioned it, but that wasn't the year she actually was. And so I had to correct them on it. But I said, see, if you would have actually read the article, if you would have actually double checked and fact checked your shit, then you wouldn't be so loud and wrong, my friend. And I was I was very, because they was arguing me down on something. And I was just like, we can always just use Google. You can just always use Google. You don't have to tell me like you're believing a machine. So I say, you're believing a machine, and I'm an actual human, and I'm actually a professor, and I'm telling you you're incorrect, and you're telling me what you're trying to tell me. You don't want to admit to me that you use ChatGPT because they're embarrassed by it. The crazy part is they're embarrassed about admitting that they're using it. But in that moment, you can just humble yourself and just simply say, hey, it's an error on my part. Because to me, honestly, it was just a fact issue. I didn't even know they actually used ChatGPT to, cite this source in this way. But I was like, you could have just also said, hey, I mistyped the wrong year. My bad. But then we found out, oh, actually, you was using ChatGPT to cite something, and they got the year wrong in the fact, quote unquote, check. It was the year the article was written, not the year she was on that list. But the more that you know, the more that you learn. So this was a very intriguing semester. And for me, what I would tell professors, some of you who are listening to this show might be in academia, might be a professor. Let me just say this. It's time to go back to your curriculum. It's time to really look at your assignments very closely. It's time to really AI proof your shit. And it's really time also to go back to the drawing board to teach these students, because I don't know I don't know what the public school education system is doing right now in Philadelphia, but if you are a teacher, a high school teacher, can y'all please, because y'all are graduating these kids, And I get it. You want to graduate them, whatever. They in college, they're in community college, because if it was in a 4-year institution, whew, my goodness. But if you are a high school professor, the number one thing I want everybody to do is take some time and teach these students about research, citing sources, and plagiarism. And not just simply, it's bad, you're going to get expelled if you do it, or you're going to get in trouble, but actually the art. Because once my students really understood what this was about, they had a better level of respect about their work, about their reputations, and also understanding like what makes it wrong. They don't even know. They just are like, because I think we're in this era where everyone's just doing what they're told. That's very symbolic in more ways than one. But everyone's just doing what they're told. It's like, oh, this said to do this, so that's why I did it. ChatGPT said that. But it's like, at what point do you have critical thinking skills where you can decipher what's real and what's fake? It's like we're not at that point. We're as an intellectual society, or society that's supposed to be trying to be more intellectual, we're just telling people don't do things or do things on everything. And that's just not it. But I digress. That was just, yeah, that was the biggest takeaway, I think, just this semester teaching, especially with a younger group of students. Most likely I'll be teaching in the summer. I am going to be doing some summer courses. Still trying to figure out if I'm going to do in person or virtual. I really am probably leaning more towards virtual, because this summer is going to be very active for myself. Like, I'm doing some traveling, I'm doing some things, I'm doing a lot of things. So I'm working on all that, trying to coordinate all those things. But yeah. So back to the convention, because a lot went down. Y'all saw some pictures. So our Eastern Regional Conference was in Tropicana, at the Tropicana, Atlantic City. Tropicana, let me tell y'all something. I was there for 5 days. I was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was there. Like, I was deep. I stayed at the Havana Tower, which is where everything really is at. I would say the popping side of the Tropicana, because in my area, you have P.F. Chang's, Cuba Libre, which was popping, Carmine's, Wet Willie's. Like, I'm in the got money section of the damn, well, there is like the high roller blackjack area, whatever, but I was in the commercial area, like where everybody was in, like the central hub where everybody wanted to be. That was where I was at. But when you got over 1,000 alpha men in one conference, like it was a lot going on. First of all, we're in Atlantic City, Tropicana specifically. I just am reminded that casinos, man, I'm just, the smell of cigarette smoke or cigars, like the smoke, I just didn't realize people be smoking, like smoking, like in these casinos. And it's just like, it's so strong. I'm like, I didn't even realize, like, people still, smoking has made a comeback. Let me just say that smoking, I mean, people say it never left, but like, we was in an era where people, I remember there was a phase of like people was putting the cigarettes down and putting the blunts up. But there has been a very noticeable like rise in cigarette smoking. Like, I have not realized so many people are going back, and like not just older people. I'm talking about people my age, like their early 30s, but they're smoking cigarettes. I'm like, when was you smoking cigarettes? Like, I was somebody, I was like, since when did you smoke cigarettes? But it's just like I think people are coming back to it, and I think it's a sign of the times. I feel like what we're dealing with in politics right now, everything that's going on, I feel like people are going back to like cigarette smoking. And I'm just like, what are we doing? But no, cigarette smoking is making a I mean, even in movies, like celebrity culture, like even celebrities outside of just acting, but they're putting those cancer sticks in your body. I'm like, why are you smoking? Don't smoke. Because smoking is still bad. Like, they haven't changed it. They have not made a cigarette that is good for you. Like, they just have not been able to create that. Like vaping, all the things. But like even certain vaping is bad. Like the stories, like it's just like, no. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm like a smoke-free type of dude. So just the smell of it, just all the smoke. It's like, look, if you're gonna do it, though, I mean, not that I'm in any position to tell people things, but there are just other alternatives than cigarettes. I'm just saying, cigarettes is just a little too. Like, I just feel like the secondhand smoke of it all. It's like, not my thing. But yeah, Tropicana was just iconic for that. But there was just a lot going on anyway. Like, there was a lot of stealing, and people are looking at me like, Ernest, where have you been? You're in a casino, like this Atlantic City. I know, but maybe because I just when I do go, it's like a quick little cute little staycation weekend situation. But being there for that many days, it's just a lot going. It was a lot going on. And maybe because we was in the convention, so people were just really spicy or just doing the most. But it was a lot going on, just outside of the alpha business, but just the patrons and the people. And, white people's incessive behavior of wanting to be nosy, wanting to be up in your business. Oh, what is this? What's going on? And so you can tell, like, we was there, it was a group of us. And there's an intrudeness that white people do that, like, annoys me. Like, okay, where they feel that, like, there's a difference between, like, I grew up in the South. So there's a Southern hospitality where Black folks just are natural conversation starters in ways that East Coasters are not often, but they'll ask you something, and if they know something, they'll just make light conversation, and conversation would be like, fine. Like, it's just very like I always, like, let me explain. Like, if I envision, like, if the Alpha Convention, like, we was like in Houston, and someone Black was there, and they came, and they were at we was at a resort. A Black person would go, oh, wow, what's going on? Oh, y'all in town? Oh, oh, wonderful. Well, have a good time, blah, 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 blah. Enjoy the food, this and third. Very easy small talk. White people. Oh, what do what's going on down here? Oh, we have a convention, it's the Alphas. What's that? It's a fraternity, Black fraternity. Oh, interesting. What's that symbol? What's that mean? What's that logo? Oh, well, why is it a Black fraternity? Why is it not a white one? What's wrong with this? Oh, what are we doing? Like, this is way too much. Way too much. So it was a situation a couple times where it was something like that. I had to check someone. I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you. We were in the middle of a conversation. Because that's the other thing, right? This ain't we're on the elevator. There's a group of Black men having a conversation, and you've decided to insert yourself, not because there was actually anything you needed, but you just felt like you need to be nosy. And of course, normally, right, if a person asks, respectfully, we go, oh, this is why we're here in conference. That's it. The end. Unless you have, something of a connection, the conversation should be a wrap. No, they want to drill. And at a certain point, I was like, in one situation in particular, I was just like, well, we're having a conversation. Well, thank you. And I had to dismiss. And I think there was a sense where they felt like someone's being cold. No, 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 no. You're not entitled to our time. Like, I got business to do. Goodbye. Thank you. Take care. Especially when you're not actually like it's not like a cordial, hi, my name is so-and-so, or there's I think we just thinking out loud, but I want to say this to people. Like, I feel like I am becoming a lot more wiser as I get older, but like, manners have really been a thing for me in the past year. Not that I don't have manners, but I've been very big on observing people's lack of manners when engaging with me in certain ways. Like, I just come from a world that if you are hitting someone up that you're not familiar with, that you're not cool with, or you're not friends with, like, it's one thing, like, if my brother texts me and just go like, oh, you come into the event tomorrow, that's easy. We're friends. Like, it's quick. We whatever. But if you come in my DMs and go, hey, I got an event Saturday night, are you able to come? Well, back the fuck up. Can I get a good afternoon? Like, can you give me, like, we don't talk like that. Like, you don't even know me. Like, back up. Good afternoon. So I play with people. I say, good afternoon. You know, hi, so and so. Good, and I put the good afternoon in caps to reset the room. Like, whoa. We gonna do a proper greeting. Even with some of my college students, some of them would do that. And I would start by saying, good afternoon, blah, 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 sincerely. And I put it in caps so they can know I don't know why you're talking to me like this. Excuse me. It is good afternoon, Professor, blah, blah, blah. It's no, yo, it's class tomorrow. Yo. And I did the yo with a question mark. And I said, good afternoon, blah, 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 blah. Like, you just got to reset the room with respect, just in general. And so I've really been, especially with adults, like, people calling me outside of my name, like on social stuff, like, adults that I don't know. Yo, E, excuse me? Who are you? E, who that? And I look confused and I don't respond because it's Ernest, unless you know me in a different type of way, you know? But I think manners have been, I mean, look who's back in the White House. So again, the correlations, but I've just been big with that lately. Like there's a long time ago, I used to just have all these things in my mind. Oh, maybe people but I just realized people are so damn rude. Like just don't have proper etiquette. Like, and I must say that there is a certain particular demographic that are just rude, even worse. And you know what? I'm going to say this on this show because he listens. Josh, my lit brother, listens. But I'm going to name this too because we're going to talk about, we actually got a lot to talk about. And I'm trying to figure out what paces and spaces. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, actually. We do. And actually, this is that episode. Let me just say that because something also went down, and I'm gonna name this too because a lot of people want to know what went down, in another way. So we're gonna get there about manners, but I'm gonna talk about this with my bestie. So when the Lit Brothers go out, there's Gio, Josh, Jamarcus, myself. We're very like we have we just have manners, right? Sometimes people will know us individually and they'll come up to us and normally and naturally we go, hey, my name is somebody so if anybody that know me and they see me with the Lit Brothers, they'll say, oh, hey, they'll say, hey, Ernest, or whatever they're talking about. They'll say, hey, guys, hey, Josh, my name is so-and-so. They'll introduce themselves to whoever the crew is because you just don't go up to a person if they're in the middle of a dinner or a situation, go up to them and talk to them while they're talking, they're in intimacy. Now, if it's a birthday dinner, big old party, it's a bunch of different people, and you see somebody from the side. But when you are in a table setting, in a group where you see an intimate group, etiquette is that you never go up to the person you know only without starting that moment to say, hey, I don't mean to interrupt. How you all doing? My name is Chris, whatever. But you make sure you greet the person that you're talking to while also acknowledging. And if your friend is also present and there is an exchange, they're supposed to let us know at the table, say, oh, this is my friend Chris or whatever. But it's very cordial if it's a situation that's a friendly environment, right? That's etiquette, okay? What you don't do is you don't go up to somebody when they're with their, like some people have done that with myself when I've been with Mr. Johnson a long time ago. And I would stop people and say, whoa, hold on. I'm at dinner with my, if it's somebody, if it's not even that kind of situation, I'll say, oh, this is my husband, whatever. But manners. We not going to even do that, right? So there have been situations where Lit Brothers would be together. And Josh, my friend Josh East Philly, he has the ability. He has a wide swath of different types of people. We got white friends and or people that I wouldn't even say all these people his friends, but they might be fans because they're also fellow influencers in the food space, whatever. There are a couple of them that will literally come over and talk to him. And mind you, he doesn't have to introduce us in these situations because they know who we are. But they will not be polite and they'll say, excuse me, and they'll just go and talk. So, sometimes he'll get ambushed in these ways. And it's can be a little uncomfortable. But I used to just be like, oh, okay, they come to talk. But we'll be in the middle of a conversation. They'll just come over and they'll just whatever. And it's like, I've gotten to a point now where I go, oh, excuse you, what's your name? Oh, hi. Hi. Okay. Because I'm not like, that's rude. Like, especially when I'm in the group setting talking. If it's me and the four of us, we had dinner, we talking, and someone come over, the first thing we do is we pause the conversation. We pause. I go, oh, hello, and you go introduce. But like what you don't do is there's a conversation and you come behind someone's shoulder or back, tapping them, trying to have a conversation with them, pulling them out of a discussion in the middle of something. And I'm just that friend that I'm like, hold on, excuse you, you good? What's up? Oh, my name. I said, okay, well, we was in the middle of a conversation. I don't got time. I'm at that age. I'm that friend, one, and I'm that person. I don't do, because sometimes, some of my friends, like Josh is a very much, he's the one in the group that I would say out of the other four of us, because your Mark is also on play. George don't either. But Josh is the very easygoing, he can't help himself, but he's always trying to, he just don't want to be the peacekeeper. But at the same time, people sometimes can take advantage of that. And I'm the friend that's going to make sure my friend don't get taken advantage. So I was just like, hold on, excuse you. Like, and it's always the same type of person. That's all I'm going to say. There's a level of entitlement. There's a level of whatever I want on your time is my priority. No, 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 no. You're not going to your failure to have etiquette will not be my inconvenience. You will not inconvenience me in a social manner or a professional way. We got to reset the room. And so I've been lately just it's not about being an asshole. It's not about being a jerk. It's just that I think we're at a phase where a lot of people feel like they can just disrupt Black people's time, like not consider our time. Or they feel like they can. And some people just accept it and it becomes like a norm and a pattern. So now my mindset is, and I've said it, if you don't want someone to have to be checked on the spot, check them first. Because it's not going to happen around me. I'm not letting none of my friends get disrespected in front of me, or I'm not going to be interrupted in a rude way. I will check it. Because let me say this, that person now, they don't even come around. They don't come around. We'll break off and stuff. We'll go to an event. But when we all together, a lot of them know when we all together, they do a hi and a bye. They don't even come over there. Now, when we break off into our little parts throughout the night, or we go to an event or whatever, they'll take their time, but they don't even do that anymore because it was a thing. It was a thing a while ago when we go to stuff, and they just no, be respectful. Like when I see somebody with their spouse or a best friend or a homie or whatever, and it's obviously they're not by themselves. I'm always coming up and being like, "Oh, hey everyone, hi," whatever, and I'll talk to my friend, or I'll just something that they in the middle of a conversation, like, "Is this a good time for you? Like, are you good?" And they say, "Oh, yeah, come over." They'll say, invite. But I'm just mindful because I treat people the way I want to be treated, and I think so many people are not doing that nowadays. And so I'm all about reminding people if people get a little too much, or they're getting evasive, like you getting a little too nosy, or you doing a conversation that's like, whoa, that's not your lane. Are we doing the most right now? Pause. And that's when I use like, hold on, pause, stop. Because I'm putting a pause because we actually need to pause. Like, before you go left, let me get you right. But I digress. So, we had a lot of eating. Hash a Go-Go. Let me tell y'all something. If you've never heard of Hash a Go-Go, they're like a national brand, but they're all over. We had so much breakfast there this time around that I just, listen, it was everything. Hooters. Have not been to Hooters in God knows how long, but went to Hooters because there's a Hooters in Tropicana. And mind you, I don't know if Hooters is still Hooters the way I remember it to be, but, I went to Hooters and had some wings. I'm just going to leave it there. But I remember, I don't know. But I would just say it makes sense for Hooters to be in Atlantic City and be at Tropicana. I'm just going to leave it at that. I did spend a lot of money this weekend because my brother, this is the thing, I realized that the conventions, for those who know how this Greek life stuff is, they have a lot of the alpha gear, the sweaters, the stuff. Listen, that's where the money gets spent because I forgot this is his first convention. So he in there, listen, but I knew, I'm just saying, I knew he was, he tries to be very modest. He's like, my younger was like, oh, I do a couple of things. Listen, couple of things is not a couple of dollars. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I had no problem doing it, but I just realized listen, hell, I didn't buy nothing. I didn't really buy that much stuff myself. I'm past that phase. I'm a pro fight now. I don't, cause I just realized, oh yeah, you're in that district for, oh yeah, you trying to, listen, the gear, listen, the merch, it was merching. It was merching. I will say that. Um, but it was just a great time. Overall, it was a great time. The highlights. The big highlight for me was that, y'all, I finally got to meet Governor Westmore, my fraternity brother, Brother Westmore, Brother Governor Westmore. I got to meet him, and it was the coolest experience yet. So what happened is that there was an event, which we didn't even know he was coming. Like, I was at the convention. They had a public panel. It was like Tamika Mallory. She's an AKA. Google my name and Tamika Mallory's name, and we're going to just end it at that. I'm not going to let this great conversation be soured by me mentioning her, but she was on the panel. It was a Greek panel. It was Mark Morial from the the National Urban League, and he is a brother of Alpha. Went to the University of Pennsylvania. He's a Penn alum. His son also did too, and his son also became an Alpha as well. So they're like a whole lineage. And his daughter just became an AKA at Howard. So he is Mr. Alpha, like Mark Morial. So he was on this panel. Ras Baraka, who is the former mayor of Newark. Like, it was a very, like, great discussion and everything. So I don't remember Westmore being listed as one of the speakers, even though we're in the Eastern region. I got a tip, of course, even when you're in the mix, that was like, oh, Governor Moore is coming. What? He's what? Listen, first of all, I wasn't planning to go to the conversation because, somebody was there that like I said, you can Google my name and Tamika Mallory. You can Google, and if you listen to the podcast, you already know. But if you have not, you can always Google. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to this. I'm going to go to dinner with my brother, and that's what I was going to do. So one of my folks was just like, told me on low, just tipped me off, said, yo, Governor Westmore going to be there. I'm like, he is? So I said, look, when is the show going to wrap up? Because I know it's going to be packed or whatever. He made a surprise appearance, but I had heard about it. So they said, listen, at the end of the event, it's going to end at 8:30. So I went to dinner, hung out with my people. We did dinner. We went to Carmine's. Oh, my God, I love Carmine's. Carmine's got the big-ass portions. Carmine's in Atlantic City. If you were in New York, they have one in New York City, but they're big-ass portions, family style. Food was great. It was Italian restaurant. It was fun. So I said, okay, text me when it wraps up. He says, okay, it's about to wrap up right now. Come through. I didn't have time to put on a suit. I didn't have time to do what I had to do. I got there. The general president of my beloved fraternity saw me, got me up on that stage. Me and Governor Moore had a great me and my frat brother Moore, and I had a good conversation. I'm not going to get to the specifics, but I would just say, stay tuned. But we got to meet. He's very tall in person, which he's very tall. He's very handsome. He's very handsome. Like, he looks good. Like, let me be clear. The TVs, the cell phones. Listen, you have to see him in person. You get it. Like, I already got it when I see him on camera, but in person, I get it. I definitely get it. He's very presidential. He's got it. He's got that it. Like, I don't think I have felt like that level of like excitement for someone since Obama. I'm just gonna name it. Like that presence, like that. He's just fly. And our current governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Josh Shapiro, is very small. He's short. He could fit in my medium, Telfar medium bag. and not that height matters in any kind of way, but there is a level of coolness that Westmore has that is swag. That's what it is. He has swagger. It's a swag that's just like, he's so cool. Like, in a way that, like, no matter who you are, that guy just, you want to be around that guy. Like, he's nice to everyone. I'm going to have to compare. I'm sorry. I'm going to make the comparisons between him and my governor in Pennsylvania. Because I've seen Governor Shapiro so many times that, like, I get it. I'm going to tell you, because listen, I'm all about details. I'm not about what people say. I'm about body language, energy. That's how I really assess people on impressions. First impressions matter. Josh Shapiro is just so damn, like, performative and calculating. And he can be nice and all the things, but it's very clear that this is a man who walks in a room, he sizes up a room, and he determines who's important and who matters based on how they dress and how they show up and whatever. Like, he's that kind of dude. And it's very clear that even the way he shows up, he's got to have the security. He's got to have all the people. He likes the pandemonium. He likes that type of bravado, but it's a Napoleon complex based on height. I think some of it drives the need that he feels like he has to overcompensate for something, that he feels like he's lacking. And I think it's a thing with, like, specifically straight men, that when it's height or stature or body weight or whatever, there's a level that they feel like they have to do more to fill those gaps. And I feel all of that with his energy, and that's always been a turnoff of me about him, amongst other things. With Wes Moore, though, even when there is all of that pandemonium around him, he makes it a point to remain a level of order and consideration for everybody he's involved with. He told his team, right? They were like, we got to go. We have to head out. He was like, no, I'm with my frat. Like, his energy was like, I want to see all these young men. It was like a group of people. And he was like, look, I want to take a picture with everybody. I'm not leaving until I get a photo with everybody. I know everybody came. And he literally took that time. There was a line, because everybody didn't know, it was like, normally with stuff like this, it's like, you don't know, because it's like, they're so busy, they got to leave, they got to dip. He was like, I'm with my brothers. And he told his teams, like, listen, like, I'm good. I'm with fam. Like, I'm good. Everybody's, I want to take a picture of everybody. So everybody, they made a line. He shook everybody's hand. We did our shake. He talked to everybody, took that time. Class act. Class act. Class act. I know there's conversations about the taxes and everything else going on. I will read more. I hear about the Baltimore Sun, all of the stuff. But I would just say the character on that man, and what I experienced and saw in that situation, because I'm telling you, I'm so used to Philly politicians with a bullshit that sometimes you do forget that there are respectful, thoughtful, mindful politicians out there. I know they all got to do what they got to do and they're going to politic, but etiquette can go a long way. I just feel like we're missing a lot of people in power that are missing the fundamental aspects about being a public servant and being considerate. And that was something I've had my moment. And even when I met Oprah, I told you that, like, I think first impressions, I can't say a lot of things. I'm going to keep some things for myself. I will share those conversations with my close friends or tuck it away for a memoir. But he's I just have nothing but the utmost respect for him. And he's just a very nice man. And just even putting things in context with Philly, because now I can talk my shit now. I was supposed to see him in Philadelphia 2 years ago. And this is when he was on tour to see Vice President Kamala Harris. But this is when she was running for president. And so there was a certain city council member. I'm not going to go into all of it on this show. Now, if you are a close friend of mine, you DM me, ask me who did this. I'll tell you who did it, because I'm going to tell my friend. But some of y'all already know. Some people might already know. But, like, anybody who's my close, like, you know who you are. You could DM me and I'll tell you in DM. But I'm not going to go into all of that on this show because I don't want to derail the conversation too much. But there was a city council member that And I'll even get more specific. It was a man, and I'm going to leave it at that. But he was a man. It was a man who basically was in charge of putting together black men to see Governor Westmore. They did it in West Philly. They did it. They had the reception at Booker's. Now, y'all know I cover politics, and everyone and their mother knows at this point. Most people know I am clearly in awe of Governor Moore because one, he's the alpha man. Two, he's also a Libra, by the way. We're both Libras, and we had an exchange about that. Third, he's the only black governor we've had since Deval Patrick. Like, this man has made history, right? And also, like, it's in my neck of the woods. Like, I live in West Philly, so like, show some respect. They knew I wanted to go. They purposely, intentionally left me out of being able to go. Like, they didn't have an event list. They didn't invite me. They intentionally did what they could to make sure I didn't have that moment with him. And I was very, very angry. I was very upset. It was a very fucked up thing, and it was petty, and it was just nasty work. And it was moments like that I was like, this campaign, not just because of that, but just in general, it was like, when Philly, we have been losing for our candidates on these larger levels because every time there's a national opportunity, the gatekeepers of this fucking political system in Philadelphia, this local political system, is always in a fucking caste system and a fiefdom that basically want to have the same people going to the same things, talking about the same shit, and purposely exclude other people in a way that I just feel like it's just cruel. Just cruel. And so I was really upset. And so it was a thing upon me to say, every chance I got, to myself, he didn't get a chance to come to the general convention in Philadelphia last year. So he didn't get a chance to come. And so I was just like, I need to meet him. How will this happen? And when I found out he was coming, I was like, I like, this is my moment. And so things happen for a reason. And also, I'm so happy it happened the way it did, especially now with everything going on. It was even more timelier to meet him now, for various reasons. And I just have learned in life that sometimes the timing, and this is the thing about Philadelphia folks, especially politicians, if they do you a favor or a solid, they always gonna want their ass back. They're gonna always feel like they need they're just so transactional that it's kind of like, everything just happens the way it's supposed to happen. But that was a very interesting moment. But I'm just happy that in the end, whether it takes 2 years or 12 years, delayed but not denied, a dream never deferred. So let's leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. But that was definitely a moment for sure. I'm also, some other news came out. World Heritage Month by Global Philadelphia is happening in May. The PABJ Media Professional Awards, as you all know, is coming up very, very soon, as you all know. And that's going to be on May 15th, Friday, May 15th. Tickets are on sale now. You can go to the link in the bio to purchase your tickets. But we're going to be that event is going to be a part of the World Heritage Month series of events that's happening all month long in May. It was just recently announced that I'm on an advisory committee for it, which is a pretty big damn deal. If you notice carefully, I have my name in Ernest Media Empire, but I am a part of the advisory committee that's helping to advise on this month. Pretty epic for so many different reasons. But very grateful. Shout out to Global Philadelphia. So if you see me at some of the events, you see me, rocking and rolling, just know that I'm a part of the advisory committee and excited to welcome everyone to our World Heritage Month that's coming up. So Philadelphia is the first World Heritage City in America. We're the first to get that designation. It's a really big deal. And to be a part of this event is even better. So just wanted to name that and shout that out. Now, let's talk about this real quick before we get into the hot topics, because it was a lot of things popping off this week. And one of the things that popped off was that I finally revealed a betrayal that I experienced. Y'all be like, he always is some sharing. Listen, I'm always out and about doing something. Like, well, listen, let me just say this real quick. I have realized, one, that I'm going to give myself, I don't know if I need to say the word give myself grace. I don't think that's even a proper term, because what am I giving myself grace for? Because grace is when you do something wrong. It's not even grace. I'm just giving myself the respect. I'm just respecting myself in a way of acknowledging, you know what? I've done a lot of shit, been a lot of shit, but you know what it is? It's because I am living a very public facing life. And what I mean by that is that when you're out here and you're doing work and you're involved with different spaces and places and demographics, of course shit goes down when there's $1 billion in the event. No, I'm joking. No, but real rap. Of course shit goes down when if you're a very successful person. I do not know a successful person that does not have conflict with folks. I don't know a successful person. Even the Pope got smoked right now with the President of the United States. Like, if the Pope can have beef, then so can I. Like, I'm just saying, like, I just compare yourself. No, I'm saying that successful people, Oprah, Beyonce, there's always going to be at that level of success, whether you are the mayor or the governor or whatever, there is no such thing as being highly successful without having tension. There's no way. Because in order for you to have that level of visibility, right, there has had to have been obstacles, challenges, competition, disputes, opportunity. And when you get in these positions of opportunity, you're going to also have people who are going to be jealous. Because when you win something, in some cases, somebody else is going to have to lose. And sometimes people don't take their L's and be better and learn from them and move the fuck on. Some people will get an L and then turn that L into an E. Don't turn the L into an E. Turn the L into an A. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can lose. Don't become envious. Sometimes when you lose, turn it into an A and get it later. But we're using the wrong alphabets and we're doing the wrong conversions. So many people take their losses and become jealous and become envious. Sometimes you can take a loss and learn. Turn the L into turn it into a loss into a learn. That's what I do. There are times where there's stuff I've wanted to get and I got rejected. I didn't turn the rejection into a negative, into a regression. I turned it into a fucking reflection. Sometimes a rejection gives you time to reflect. Okay? That's a word. I'm not going to feel rejected. Maybe it's time for me to reflect. When I've had a loss of something, I said maybe there's an opportunity to learn. Learn from the experience. Learn how to grow. But what I'm not going to be is a fucking loser. I'm going to be a learner. There's an opportunity here. It's an opportunity for you to reflect too. When you get rejected from something, people always, every time they get rejection, they ready to just, go off. They ready to regress. They ready to just throw their hands up. They ready to have regret. I'm like, nah. Reflect. This may be a time to reflect. What could have been better? Was this really what I really wanted? Was this the right time? Like, you can reflect, right? So let's do that, right? But there's people who don't move that way. And so for me, I am unapologetic with the conflicts that I have in my career with folks. Because when you do this work and you do it and you make an impact, there's always going to be situations where you're going to have to straighten somebody out or get some shit on the table. It just comes with the territory. And if you're somebody who you're so conflict avoided, you're so risk averse, you're so afraid to take a chance, well, you know what? You're never going to be highly successful doing that. I'm sorry. There's no such thing as being risk averse, conflict avoidant, and basically being highly successful. There's no such thing. Every highly successful person on this planet has conflict, has challenges, has barriers they had to overcome, has had disagreements, and has had disputes. If somebody tells you they don't have any drama, disagreements, anything like that, and they're highly successful, they're highly lying, or they're not really successful. Name a person. Jesus Christ had conflict and disputes. Mother Teresa definitely had some conflicts and disputes. Gandhi definitely had some conflicts. MLK, Oprah Winfrey, Beyonce, Tina Turner, Rihanna, hell, John Legend, Paul Robeson, Jesse Owens, Serena Williams, everybody. Anyone who's that level of success has conflicts, have disagreements, have disputes. It comes with the territory. Okay? So I just want to put that on the table. So when people will tell me, oh, you be having this, you have that. Yeah. And if you don't have them, if you don't have them, then that means that you're not doing enough. I told myself one day, like, for example, Mr. Johnson, lately he has said, when we first dated, he was always someone who just wanted to be like really low key and not really have any real drama, nothing like that. That's how he was. But the more and more he has been ambitious and he's doing his business and he's doing, his big one, he's like really out here. Like Surefire Public Relations is doing he's getting the clients are coming in. He's really doing his thing independent as an entrepreneur. And our relationship has got even stronger because he's like understanding more and more of like, okay, I see why you don't be liking people. I'm like, because he's like, like nobody. I'm like, it's a tease we say. But it's like, but now that he's out here and he's really getting some major wins, he's starting to recognize some people are acting a little funny. Some people are hating. Some people are being shady. And he's starting to recognize like, wow, like sometimes you could be in situations where you're not asking to be any drama. You're not actually trying to be in a feud. You're really not. Sometimes you can be minding your business, but people bring the shit to you. And it's just because of just where you are in your life or how successful you are, what you got going on. And so I tell people that all the time. I said, we got to stop victim blaming, right? We got to stop blaming people. We got to stop looking at successful people and going, what did you do to cause this? Sometimes you just being great can make another motherfucker feel some type of way. And that's just what it is. And y'all see that with some people. Y'all see that. Y'all have seen it over the years where it's like, why is Beyonce name in your mouth? Like, Beyonce don't be bothering anybody. She don't be bothering nobody. Now, that Jay-Z is another story. We'll get to his ass later. But Beyonce for the most part, she don't really be bothering anybody. But every 5 seconds, people got her name in their mouth. It's like, why are you talking about, like, why you have to name drop her in your shit? And I've had situations where, not always, because I do be in some shit that is because of my own volition. I'm not saying that. But sometimes people just be having my name in their fucking mouth. And I just be like, what did I do? What did I do to you? Why is my name, like, why do you feel like you got to? But when you're so relevant, people will have your name in their mouth. People will have a conversation about you that's just out of bounds. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about brand flakes. Let's talk about what's been going on. Let's talk about my situation on Instagram story, because some of y'all saw that. The DMs are buzzing, but I got some shit I need to say about some people because I've been quiet for too long and I knew that the boomerang was going to come back a year later. So last year, you all know that Brand Flakes, the influencer, and I had a public, feud. I was defending a black influencer, Dr. Afia, who, as from a journalist perspective, there was this story that came out in Inquirer and basically named him, like he was saying that he is saving black-owned businesses, and took this credit because of what he did with Chubby Chicks and some other spot. And just the way the piece was written and conducted, it just felt like a fluff piece that was manufactured. Because the guy who wrote the piece, he's a black journalist. He's also an alpha. His name is Earl Hopkins. He's a little younger than me. He wrote the piece. He don't really care much for me. I don't think he does. Oops, did I say that out loud? Shut. See, here I go. But, hey, no hard feelings, no hard feelings. I don't think I'm his cup of tea, and it is what it is. And, I wish that brother well. Like, there's no hard feelings. You do what you do. You rock with NEBJ. I just want to say that when you came here from Austin, I was like, "Welcome to PABJ." I tried to be a brother, man. It is what it is. But people do what they do for their respective career. They do what they do. Best of luck to his book coming. He co-wrote a book. Him and another guy wrote a book together. That's about J. Cole and Kendrick. I don't really know who the publisher is. I never heard of them before, but I am very, I look forward. You got a book. Good business with your brother. Welcome to the author gang or co-author gang, or whatever. But good book. Good for you. I'm happy that you're doing some good work, and you found something to be productive with. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. But no, all means. But I digress. So he wrote the piece, and it wasn't. I didn't really have it. I mean, I didn't have an issue with him as the reporter. I mean, I've been doing it a little bit longer, and I would have felt like I kept saying to myself, where did this story come from? Because I'm big on the source of something. Like, what made you interview him? And what made you think that writing the piece in that framework as a Black man he's not from Philly, but like, what made you think that was the smartest use in that way? And why didn't you? There's a lot of research that was missing. The Inquirer has been doing that shit a lot lately. Like the journalism at the Inquirer has been just really bad lately. Like just a lot of writing. It's like they're pushing out so much shit to the point that they're letting AI news go through the suburbs at this point. That's just how lazy they've gotten. But even more so, it's just like you're trying to do these local stories. And how do you get it wrong so badly? Like, I just feel like, look, you can interview a source. That's fine. But how do you just let somebody take credit for some shit like that and you just don't hit up the community or the people and go, yo, hey, how did this really go down? You're going to let somebody in a whole story tell you some shit that they actually did not do in the ways in which they're describing it. And you just didn't think as a Black journalist that, hey, you don't see some of the concerns about the narratives here. Like you basically wrote a fluff piece for clout because the piece got a lot of viral attention because of how popular that brand was. But like it fed into like white savior complexes. It fell into this larger scope. And I just thought to myself, I'm not going to say he's a rookie, but I just felt like this was this was just not the best way to do this. And I don't know who's the editor that edited that piece, but I just felt like it was a lot of things wrong with it, And we see this a lot in Philadelphia, right? Where there's a lot of Black journalists, not journalists, but Black public figures that do a lot of good, meaningful work, community service. They do, other meaningful things. It's very seldom that I see Black influencers, right, that do that work. Like Josh, like my homie Josh, been doing shit like that, transforming neighborhoods, communities, doing meaningful things. Never has been given a feature story at that magnitude like that. Not to compare, but there's been other people who've done meaningful things. And I don't know, but like there's this way in which people try to frame their work, and that's just not what it is. Bran Flake's reputation at the beginning of his career was that he was the loud, gay, white Gen Zer. I know he looks a little bit older. He looks older. He's younger than me, actually. Did y'all know he just like turned 30? Anyway, I digress. But like, your whole reputation was that you was the obnoxious dude that would get drunk, go to parties, and talk about blackout nights and how you hung over. That was your whole identity. And everything you talked about was always about giving people advice about parties and socials and mess. Like that's his whole shtick for like a long time. He adopted a Black queer vernacular. Like, there's certain colloquialisms that Black gay people have, like ballroom language and mannerisms and like our whole thing. But he basically mimicked that whole swagger as a white person and as a white gay man, right? Like none of his jargon and the way that he talks and things, he doesn't even realize that he's like basically mimicking Black, like appropriating Black queer culture. Because, it's that whole thing about like Gen Zers saying they're using slang, but their slang is actually stolen from old school ballroom culture. But this man is not educated and informed enough to even know what he's doing and what he's saying, and also how problematic it is for him to show up the way that he do. But that's the whole thing, right? The entitlement of it and what we do as a community where we allow folks, quote, unquote, to come to the cookout or think that they can appropriate the cookout, right? So that was a problem, right? But outside of that context and framework, you're somebody that's now like had this reputation, and somewhere along the way, he wanted to do a pivot. Because the truth of the matter is he was trying to get on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. He was trying to build this bigger personality that was beyond that reputation. Because that was getting a fade out. Like the whole, I'm drunk, I'm blacked out. There's so much. Like you can only do that for so much that it becomes a reputation where everyone's like not giving a fuck. It's like, okay, like you're getting a little older. Let's grow up. Let's do whatever. But he basically decides that he's going to do this story and do whatever. The story comes out. He takes credit for Chubby Chicks going viral. And he does this whole spiel of, it's time for us to save a Black-owned business. And when he do that, a lot of Black people, because he's taking the cultural zeitgeist, and he's also following the trends that was happening in New York. Like he's somebody that looks at what's happening in other cities, and he wanted to do it here in Philly in this very loud way. The problem is that Cass in the city, Cass Matthews, her, she's of color. She was already doing that. But he's white, right? And he's also already had a following. So his new identity becomes, oh, we're going to save a Black business today. Like, so he uses his platform to try to do that. It was already happening. The time that Chubby Chicks had that viral moment, it was really Dr. Fia, in my opinion, that made the conversation glow up to the point that other people wanted to show up. But you came to the party late and then basically tried to take credit for it as a Columbus. Like when the Christopher Columbus is going on, everyone in Philadelphia was already talking about this. It had nothing to do with you. You jumped on a trend. You did not set the trend. And so the way the story was written, it would have given the public and the nation, right, the perception that he was the reason why that happened. And that was just not true. And so I was very disappointed that Earl wrote that story. I was disappointed in the reporting. I was disappointed with just how that went down. And as a result of me calling it out, it got fact checked. And that's the worst experience ever to be a reporter and have your story being fact checked in this very loud public way. And being fact checked by a person that is hated by your publication. The Inquirer hates me. They hate me. And they hate me so much that they are so invested in trying to upfront an organization that they think is in rivalry to mine because they just hate me so much because I call them out for their racism and I call them out for a lack of a DEI plan. Fuck y'all. Okay? And I stand on that. Okay? I have certain friends and peers that likes to write their little guest op-eds there and like to still be buddy-buddy with them and think it matters. That paper, I will outlive that paper. I'm going to say it like that. I will outlive that paper. I will outlive that paper. And rightfully so. And they're just full of shit. But they had to change the story and correct the story. I can't tell you how many times I have spoken out about something and they've had to change it. That's what democracy looks like. That's what freedom of press looks like. That's what influence looks like. So I think essentially there might be a little bit of hard feelings about that. Cool. It is what it is. Somebody's got to do their job right the first time. But it's all love, though. It's all love. It's not hard feelings. There's no beef. I mean, I just was not about to see a Black woman be erased in the paper of record, quote unquote. Moving along on that. So this goes on, and Brian and I have this public back and forth. And he's talking shit and he's whatever. Stuff was said online. Y'all saw how that played out. if you don't know what happened, go to PHL Colonizer. It's the highlight in my IG stories. If you go to my Instagram, there's like highlights. It's called PHL Colonizer. You can see it there. But that being said, after the beef kind of like, and it resolved, we've not talked since that has happened. I don't talk to him. I don't have anything to say to that man. I don't fuck with him. That's just it. I don't do a brand. I'm talking brand at this point. But after all that kind of like died down, you know, I had moved on. Like it was nothing. It was like a 2-day thing for me. Like it's not a thing, right? It moved on. Everybody grow. I moved on. Shit. It was a wrap. I had said what I said. I had told people this man's a problem. This man is fake. Y'all, if you want to buy into all of that narrative, I said, for starters, I remember saying that story was a planted story. That man did not get that story just off of the good, kind graces of just who he is. The context was context. I said, this guy literally is out here pitching a story by himself. Like he actively went out his way to erase the credit for that woman and never took the credit for that. Never wanted to acknowledge that on record. I said, I'm going to move on, but I have the receipts. I left it there. So a month later, and this is all last spring, a month later passes, and someone I know in the industry hit me up and said, hey, did you hear this podcast episode? I said, what are you talking about? So Sabir Peel, that is the Men's Styles Pro guy. He's this black, he's 40, black dude, dapper. He's an influencer, a much older influencer, mind you. But he's an influencer in the Philadelphia scene. We have mutual acquaintances that we know in our networks. I'm going to be more respectful when I get into what I'm about to say next than what he gave me. But I'm just going to say that. He and I have known each other for years in the scene. He is the type of black man, and I have no problem saying this. He's the type of black man in the room that he likes to be the only black man in the room, unless he has a friend with him. He's the type of black man in the room that when he sees other black men in the same space, he feels intimidated. He feels catty, and he's a fucking gatekeeper. Period. He's that type of black dude. And he's the type of black dude that call other black people racist. And you already know the type of black men I'm talking about. And yes, he's not dating. That is how he shows up. He has certain people he fuck with, but he is the type of person that likes it to just be him and him alone. The reason why I have the Lip Brothers, and I was intentional about having us, was because I was so tired of going to media events and events like that, and you will only see 1 or 2 black people or black men, and the ones that were there will give you the cold shoulder or act fucking funny or center themselves around white people and pariah you. I said, if anything I'm not going to do is be the only black man in a fucking room or like to be the only one being tokenized. I'm not going to be that brother. And so I made it a point that when I go to media events, if I'm not with my crew, if I can't bring another black man with me specifically, if I can't bring a black woman with me, if I can't be in community or bring my people with me, I will not be in attendance. I learned that a long time ago. And I've been big on that. Like I remember me and Josh and Jordan, we had to talk. I said, why is it that when we go to these events, we always, let's come together. And we didn't ever have any tension, but like they all noticed that. And we was like, we're not trying to be the only ones in the room. It's not a thing. But some people do. And so there was always a tension because the way that he will try to address me or engage me. You never be in a space where you're with white people that are saying problematic racist or problematic shit that is racially qualified, right? And see, he's the type of black person that thinks that racism is only when people say the N-word. He's that dude. And so he has been in spaces with white folks that, like, I always have this etiquette where if I'm black and I'm in a space and there's white people and they talk about a black person a certain way, I just don't think it's comfortable to be in community, in space with folks that's like that, because there's always some other thing. He prides himself on being a palpable Negro to certain types of people. I'm just going to say it. And I stand on it. And I'm not going to be quiet because I'm going to tell you why I'm saying all this right now. But he did a podcast episode with this guy, with Brand. And on that podcast episode, he lets Brand completely try to drag my name in the most racist, unprofessional things ever. This man sits up and says that this white boy, he lets this white boy get on his show and say that he felt like I'm an embarrassment, I'm a disgrace to my race, that I am a bad representation to the black community. This is what he is letting a white man verbatimly say about me. On his show, on his platform, he gave a white man a platform to say another black man is a disgrace to his race. Let me tell you something. You have to be a certain type. Y'all, I'm going to listen because I'm going to keep it cute. But you got to be a certain type of, allow some shit like that. Listen, I wouldn't do it to my worst enemy. You could never have me. I'm never going to do that to my worst enemy. You got to be a hating ass, bitch ass. Listen, you got to be a certain type of person to do some shit like that. I heard about the episode. I listened to it. And in the episode, Brand is talking his shit. And he's sitting up there entertaining this shit, adding to the shit, kikiing with this boy. And Brand says on it, like, I know he's listening. I know he's going to pop off and he's going to do whatever. Let me tell y'all something about strategy. One thing about me is I'm never going to let a white man have the agency to predict my moves and tell me what he think I'm going to do. He used that platform to, one, try to beat the allegations of the racism while also being racist on a platform. But you're going to go on, listen, I'm going to say this in a very classy way, and for those who know. So you go on the Raccoons show, and you're going to do it on that platform. Interesting. Okay. And y'all, listen, but I had enough. So this person told me this. I said, thank you for telling me. I went with my lip brothers. I said, here's how we're going to do this. We're not, because when they heard about it, when I told them about it, listen, people was ready to pop off. I said, listen, no, we're not going to say anything about it. Because let me tell you why. Because nobody is listening to that man's podcast. He doesn't have that many listeners. This is Ernestly speaking. Let's believe this. Y'all know that me saying this right now, I know y'all all about to go left and go right, and y'all gonna want to figure this shit out, because that's what it means to actually be relevant. A lot of y'all are clutching your pearls. You're like, not severe pill. He did what? Because y'all don't even listen to his shit, because he's that fucking irrelevant when it comes to the larger scheme of things, when it comes to the situation. But he tried it. And I said to myself, if I do what they are expecting me to do at that moment, because I waited a whole year, I said, if they expect me in 1 year to say something, they want a response out of me. I know what they want. They want me to go off. They want to blow this up. They want to get clout. He wants his pathetic, low listenership podcast to get some listens off my name. I don't even know if he still do the podcast, because they don't even know what consistency look like. But I know that they really wanted to track my steps. I said nothing publicly. I never gave it any attention. And I said to myself, I will only respond to it if it does become a thing. It never became a thing. Like, no one listened to it. None of y'all told me about it, because none of y'all listened to his podcast, child. And I don't blame you, because his podcast is clearly shit. No one listened to it. And I said, I'm not going to give this life. I'm not going to let somebody get famous off of my name. Not in that kind of way. I said, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let it, I'm just going to see how it play out. And I'm also going to see this man, and I'm going to see if this man is going to have the balls to say something to me and address me about what he said. He never did. I've seen this man at events for an entire year, and I said, I want to see if he's going to have the respect to say any of that shit to my face. Neither one of them did. Because at the end of the day, they didn't think I heard the episode, and quite frankly, they wanted to move on. I tell y'all, baby, I play the long game. I don't play the short one. I said, karma's a bitch, and eventually this situation will put me in a position to remind people again. A year later, I came to cash my motherfucking check. I said, I'm going to talk about this on my terms. I'm going to address this situation the way that I will, where I'm going to have time. Because what I don't want is for people, I'm sick of people trying to gaslight, remix the story, go here, that. No. I am going to remind people what happened, and I'm going to be this out. Because if anybody had a problem, you had a whole year to address it with me. Now it's my turn. Especially given the fact that at the end of the day, no one tagged me. You sat up there, you promote the show for a whole couple of weeks trying to get traction, tell people, oh, listen, it's a must listen. I just studied it. I just observed it. I didn't say anything. I just observed it because I was like, you're trying to really gas this shit up. You're really trying to capitalize off of a very nasty public feud, and you're trying to center yourself. Well, I'm going to give you the stage if you want the stage. Be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. So I was quiet. So all of a sudden, I guess y'all were pissed off with Brand Flakes. He took a Starbucks sponsored trip to Coachella. They sponsored him to go to Coachella, and we already know what's going on with Starbucks and what's going on in the Middle East. And he had framed himself as this social justice guy. Like, you all were thinking that, oh, Brandon was this social justice guy. He's the guy who speak up for what's right. He is not just a guy who's just getting influencer stuff. Oh, he's about the people and community. He's not going to change his perspective. So I was like, okay, interesting. I'm like, oh, interesting. This is very rich, in my opinion, you know. I was like, this is very rich of you to be out here doing all this. That was my whole perspective, you know. It's just, it was just very telling to me. So Starbucks happens, then that goes up in flames. Everybody got something to say. They've been dragging him up and down because they're calling out the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy I've known for over a year. Of course, everybody wants to remind me that I was the one who went public about his bullshit. And everybody likes to remind people that I'm always ahead of time and said, wait a minute now, Ernest had told us about some shit a year ago. What happened? I was like, I wasn't trying to address that. But people kept tagging me. So I decided to say, well, you know what? I actually did say something. And I just want to be crystal clear that there were people in our own community, Black folks in our own community. Not all of our skin folk are our kinfolk. There were people in my own community that were trying to disparage me in the time in which I was standing up for what was right. And so I let everybody know, and I added him, Sabir. I added him and said, hey, he had a podcast, and I showed people what the episode was, and I tagged him and said, this is what he did, and this is why I thought it was fucked up, and I had it sent up for a year, and I named it. I called it out. Oh, and boy, was he heated. Oh, he tried to call me on Facebook. I was at the convention in Atlantic City. He called me. He Facebook. I don't think he had my number. He Instagram called me like multiple times, but I didn't see because once I lit the match, y'all, I just put my phone back in my bag and kept hanging out with my frat brothers. But I go back to my phone and I see it was blown up on the IG calls. And he's all like, well, if you're gonna, you can't tag me and I respond. I wanted to be like, dude, first of all, I want to be like, bitch, first of all, How dare you talk about something I need to talk to you now because you should have talked to me when you did the damn podcast episode. So I know you ain't talking. So I said, well, listen, you can hit me up the next day. That's what I said to him. I said, we can, I can't see you in person because I'm on the phone. I'm out of town, but we can call. Here's my number. He gave me his number. I tried to schedule some time to talk. We're supposed to talk at 3:00 on Friday. That was the plan, right? So I was looking forward to an actual phone call because I wanted him to explain to me what's good. Like what's the problem? What's the issue? I've been waiting for over a year, and I guess I had to light the shit up. So this is what he said to me. Because I'm gonna read everything. I ain't got nothing to hide. I said to him, good morning. Any possibility for us to briefly chat earlier today? Now that was Thursday. Last Thursday I said this. I want to say 2 hours later, he texts me back. He says, hey, Ernest, I'm cutting straight to the point. Please do not tag or mention me in any posts. I don't participate in social media drama. If you have an issue with what Brand said on my podcast, please address it with him directly or speak to me face to face next time you see me. I have no time for a takedown. For the past 3 days, I've been mourning the murder of my cousin by her ex-husband, which has been all over the news. My focus is on my family and far more important matters. I expect you to respect that, and if and when we see each other, we can have a face-to-face if that's needed. Now, before I say what I say, I'm going to say, first off, unfortunate situation, if true, if whatever, unfortunate, right? It's always a cousin, right? It's never like a real close family member. So it's always like a cousin to somebody, know somebody, and it's like, that withstanding, right? I know this pattern that people do, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it with all sincerity, is that people will always, when they get called to the carpet for doing their shit, they're going to always pull some type of scenario situation where they don't have time because there's a lot going on. There's always going to be something going on. Let me tell you, in my life, there's always something going on. And I can always pull some emotional issue or something to act like nothing because you didn't want that heat. In the words of Cat Williams, should have been talking shit. Because here's the thing, when I was in the middle of all of my shit last year and I had all that shit going on with me publicly, you not only did not consider my situation, you actually capitalized off of it. You actually made a whole thing after it. And at some point, I'm tired of always being the bigger person. Sometimes you're going to have to let people know not to play with you so they don't play with you again. I don't like bullies. I don't like snakes. And I don't like frauds. And if you're one of the three, and I don't like raccoons. If you know, you know. If you're one of the four, I don't care. Because like Cardi B said, should have been talking shit when they wasn't talking shit when they was out here fucking mine. When everybody was out here fucking me over, talking a shit, no one was considering that I had clearly a lot going on. Nobody was thinking about what I was dealing with. No one was thinking about none of that. And now all of a sudden you're asking for the grace that you was not extended to somebody. Oh, fucking almighty, right? So what I said was, my response was, good afternoon. First off, condolences to your family. Respectfully, the consideration I'm showing is far from what you did for me in this regard. The lack of accountability, apology, and respect is glaring. Quote, I have no time for a takedown. That's hypocritical as fuck. You definitely had time last year as you sat up, capitalized off of drama you had nothing to do with last year. You should have told Brand what you're trying to tell me today. So now you're asking for grace. Grace you've never given me. Guilt tripping and being passive aggressive over shit you started with me. Go back and listen to what you had time for last year. Ridiculous. Truth is, you could have addressed me face to face instead of taking it to your podcast. So I met the same energy. I'll tag and address anyone however I please when someone addresses me on a public platform straight up. I'm cool off it for now. Respectfully, I just want you to know you were fucked up for that. But again, condolences. And if there's ever any confusion, We can always get clarity in person. Be well. Let me tell you something. If you call me out in public, I'm going to address you in public. If you speak to me in private, I will speak to you in private. If I have a private conversation, I respect the terms of agreement of privacy. But what you're not going to do is question my commitment to my community as a black man on a public platform with a white man that's making these racially disrespectful remarks, and then turn around and want me to just deal with you in private. Fuck no. Fuck you. Goodbye. Period. Period. And I'm not trying to have no in-person confrontation. I don't think he want that smoke. I'm not a physical person. I don't do violence. I don't condone violence. It ain't going to be like that. It ain't going to be like that because I've already said what I said. I met the energy. There was something said on the podcast. I said something on my podcast. We're even. We're going to move on. But here's the difference, though. Not only am I going to move on, but a lot of people that we have mutual acquaintances with, they're going to move on off you too, because that's what the fuck you get. Be considerate. If it was to me, you showed your character when you did that. And the fact that you have not given me an apology, because what you should have did was when you messaged me is give an apology. I apologize for that. I was wrong for that. What you don't do is try to guilt trip somebody and then deflect. Deflection, I don't like a deflect. I don't do deflection. If you're going to message me and do that, you should have apologized. See, I'm never too proud to accept an apology and move on. But the fact that you can't even be a grown ass man and you're 40 years old and you're an influencer, do your big one, and you can't even apologize as a grown ass man, I've lost respect. Because that's not what we do. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed because at the end of the day, you're talking about something, you don't have time for the drama and you don't do takedowns. What the fuck did you just do? I'm literally naming what you did. And you're mad because what you thought was that it was funny. You thought this shit was cute. Ain't no fun when the rabbit gets the gun, right? So and see, this is what I'm going to tell y'all. I'm going to make this very clear. Go and tell your friends and tell everybody else. No one's going to bully me in 2026 or for the rest of my days. No one's going to publicly disrespect me and expect me not to have anything to say. Let me tell you how I deal with bullies, because I dealt with this shit when I was young. The best thing you can do to a bully is whatever they saying about you and whatever they doing about you, you take that shit and you reverse it. You take that shit, you reverse it. You call it to the carpet. You want to get on a platform and talk shit about me on your podcast, I'm going to give you. You want a comedian, you're going to get a show. You want a clown, you're going to get a circus. You decided that you wanted the attention, right? Now you're getting the attention, and now it's inconvenient for you. Now it's too much for you, but you wanted it though. You wanted it though. You wanted the attention. You wanted the virality. You wanted to be in the mix. Now you in the mix and it's suffocating. No. You wanted this. Because what did you expect? What did you expect? Did you really expect that you was going to talk some shit like that about me on a podcast and I don't have a right to respond? See, that's what I don't get. In my book, The Case for Counsel Coach, I talk about how people say, oh, I don't like this counsel culture shit. But what did you do? You did something. And the laws of Newton says what goes up must come down. That's the laws of gravity. That's just the laws of gravity. So I addressed it. I'm ready to move on. How about you? I'm ready to move on. I just knew, y'all just knew I was going to get it off my chest. I don't think you thought you was just not going to not. I mean, you just can't disrespect someone publicly like that. Like you know who I am. And if you don't know now, you know. But you knew. But see, this is the thing about a bully, right? People always think they can try you because they think that they know your strength. And sometimes you have to remind people, I'm not the 1, the 2, or the 3. And you go try that somewhere else. You go play with something safe. I'm not the one. I bet you he won't do that shit again. I bet you he won't do it to another black person again. I bet you he won't platform another person, do it to another person again. I bet you he won't do that shit again. But sometimes you got to do it for the community and take one. I'm sick of it. And see, I mind's my business. I try. I do try. I try. Dr. Parks have known me since I was in college. Jamarcus has known me forever. My closest friends know me very well. And there's a lot of shit I let slide. Y'all just don't even know the half of it. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of people in this city of Philadelphia that are really silly in Philly. And I have not gotten as silly back. A lot of times I let the shit ride. I say, you know what? They must have had a bad day. You know what? It was what it was. Whatever the case is. I let it go. But sometimes people really do show their ass. And I'm like, you know what? Because if you let them do that, they'll try something else. I've learned in situations in my life that words become insults. Insults become threats. Threats become physical, and then we have a war. I'm going to stop you with the insults. I'm going to stop you at the insults. We're not even going to go all the way down the damn spectrum. We're going to stop with the insults today. And then we're going to leave that alone. That's how I go. Now, if people want to escalate, okay. But I'm going to stop you at the insults. I'm not going to let you go to I'm not going to let it get there. But sometimes in relationships and patterns of people, you let people do this, you get them a little shenan, and they go on shenanigan, okay? You go ab, and they want a cadabra. You can't let them cadabra. The cab, it's like, okay, you want to dab? Oh, hold on, stop right there. Because if I let you ab, you're going to cadabra. I can't let you do all that. We're going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there. And that's a metaphor for life. Don't let nobody shin. You let them shin, but don't let them anigan. You cannot shenanigan on me. You're not about to do the full Monte Carlo, right? You got to stop. And so in this situation, when I saw that go down like that, I said, wow, we on podcast? We talking like that? Oh, absolutely not. See, it's one thing to walk in a room and see a brother in the room and not say something. I just think when you see another black man in the room, you give them the nod. That's how I was raised. But I'm like, you know what? Some people not like that, okay? Ain't nothing to go to war with. You just say duly noted, you move on. I'm a duly noted type of dude. I see certain things, duly noted. But see, it started with that. And then it starts with other things, right? And it just kept building. And now you got to the point where you thought it was cool or free-flowing to do something like that. Nah. Because even when you're doing an interview, quote unquote, he calls himself interviewing, right? You tell us I'm taking up with brand. Nah, I'm taking up with you. Because you gave him that platform to do that. You own your platforms. You know what I'm saying? You own your property. You talking about something, you ain't for the drama. You brought him on there and let him talk about it. You have the right to edit your show, correct? You could have edited that episode. You could have said, you know what? On that part of the show, we're going to cut that because that's a little too much, right? But you egged it on and you engaged in the conversation. So that tells me what kind of person you are. Like I said, I don't have time for snakes. I don't have time for frauds. I don't have times, well, rats too. Shoot, add them to the list. That's 5. Raccoons. Don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. I don't. And so, yeah, that's all. Now, before I transition real quick, a lot of you are asking me about my acupuncture and my cupping. I am here to report to you that of the recording of this podcast, which has been, it's Monday, clearly, the cupping marks on my back have fully dissolved. Like it's like a little bit, little brief, little still markings. But for the most part, I am now can tell you all that cupping on the back, it will dissolve within a week in a day or so. So about roughly 7 to 10 days. 7 to 10 days, it basically fades. So I got the acupuncture on a Friday, like late Friday. So I basically will tell you that was not this Friday, but the previous Friday before last Friday. I will say that honestly, Sunday, it was pretty much like maybe a couple of little still marks, but not too much. But there's no actual hard marks. It's just the impression. So it's like the impression of the cupping, but it's pretty much quote unquote fully healed. But it's not harmful. But what I mean is, when you first get the cupping, it's like the red marks on your back or whatever. That's now off. So I'm doing pretty good. Just wanted to put that out there. So it was a pretty good experience. I didn't have any crazy issues or whatever like that, but it was a safe procedure. It takes a week. So if you're somebody who don't, I mean, honestly, personally for me, I wouldn't do cupping on my chest. Some people do cupping on their chest. If you need to do it, but I would just say sex wise, it could be a lot to look at. Like, I'm not trying to be graphic. I'm just saying that just think about it. Just maybe maybe it's hot, maybe whatever. But I could just imagine in any position. See, now that I put myself in this awkward position, but no, any situation, you just be mindful about like how it will look. It it is a strong, distinct marking because it's like a bunch of like circles, like filled in, like red, big old red blotches, dots on your back. Like it's very strong, but it feels so good. I mean, I felt my back, like it was such a relief. It was such a physical relief. So just putting that out there. So to hot topics. Oh, this is an episode for the books, y'all. This is one for the books. This is one for the books. Okay. I think I'm gonna use that in this one for the books episode. Yeah, this is one for the books. Yeah. So Trump. Trump is beefing with the Pope, y'all. And y'all have been following this saga. A lot of y'all messaged me about that image that he had on his page with him in a Jesus type imagery. JD Vance is Catholic, or at least have gone to mass or some things, trying to defend it. Other people have really called him out. Like, listen, the evangelical Christians, Republican conservative base was like, hold up. Their whole mindset was like, look, I was in my Nate Dogg. I was like, hold up. Like their mindset was like, wait a minute, you doing a little too much right now. Like it's one thing to think whatever you think, but Trump really thinks he's God. It's interesting to me, like, not that I'm deep into like Christian prophecy and the things, but I just think it's so racist. I remember when, and a lot of y'all throwback, right? Remember when Barack Obama was president of the U.S., and there was a lot of these evangelical Christians that was trying to act like Barack Obama was the Antichrist. Like there was this whole narrative like, oh, he's the Antichrist. These are the sign of the times. And they were really trying to act like he was Antichrist because a black president had them thinking that, oh, he must be the devil incarnate and he's the reason. Disgusting, right? Disgusting. Mind you, Trump's in the White House. And honestly, if I was to buy into that type of prophecy, I would be like, y'all don't think this man Antichrist? Like this man got everybody going. You would argue that would be the one. If that was the type of political, religious, that's how you believe, right? I just thought it was very telling that they were quick to try to frame Barack Obama. Like even the way they talked about him, they was like, oh, he's charismatic. He's very appealing. He's going to have a massive support. It was like, but like, if you was to follow that type of trend, first of all, I think it's all bullshit. But if you was to follow that logic, first of all, it's racist as shit. But so then Obama comes and goes, but then Trump gets in office, and all of a sudden, with that type of logic, you would assume that Trump would be framed as the Antichrist, if that was your sense of thought. Instead, it's, oh, he's restoring faith in Christian values. So I thought we were in the end times. Like, I'm just trying to understand the logic here. But that's the way that that's how these evangelicals thought. The interesting thing is, based on that prophecy, that logic, right? He's now comparing himself to God. Like he's now comparing himself to Jesus. Like he's literally doing all the things that you all would call blasphemous. There are people speaking out. They're like, wait a minute, you're going too far. Some people say it's just a harmless joke. Whatever. The issue I'm saying is the man has a God complex. The man really is delusional. Like, it's delusion. He's not well. He's not well. And I'm not even saying that on some political beliefs. Because listen, when Biden wasn't well either, right? Like, I don't play this whole, I'm only going to speak on this for one person versus another. All I'm going to say, now I will say this, and this is still not, listen, my pettiness in me is like, if we was going to have Trump show out like this and show up like this, I could have took Biden and Mr. Otto Penn. I mean, if that's what it was going to be. Because we're literally dealing with two senile individuals in their own way. I think Biden is less senile than Trump. And J.D. Vance, the tea is out about him, that he's not really in favor of this war, and that his numbers are going down the polls. His approval rating is very low. And he's trying to address this issue in Iran, and Iraq. That sounds like Bush, right? Another war being started that we didn't have to have. But there's a lot of conversations. I mean, 60 Minutes is in some drama right now related to all this. But there's a lot of people getting up in arms with him. A lot of folks. It's starting to get really bad. No one's winning in this Trump fiasco. Republicans are not winning. Conservatives are not winning. Like, nobody. I always tell people that even when your home base can't even find a reason, like at this point, you're just delusional. Like, you're just a stand. If you're standing by Trump, making excuses for him, like at this point, he's dragging the girls. He's coming after Candace Owens. He's coming after Megyn Kelly. He's going after folks that wasn't supporting him. Like, they're like, now even the woman who Riley, who was out here, he used her as a prop to speak against. She's the swimmer that was going that, and I've been on some show. I was on a couple episodes with her on Pierce Morgan Uncensored, and she was the big, athlete that was the swimmer that was really feeling some type of way about transgender swimmers and sports and all this stuff. And he was using her as his puppet to push that anti-trans narrative. Now she's even being critical of him because of her faith. And he's now dumped her and said, hey, you didn't even know her like that. Like this, like, oh, so you're not even rocking with her, even though she was in the White House. Like, it's just very telling, like, how these people become discarded, like disposable. And even in spite of her critiques about him in that way, she wanted to make it still clear she still supports him. Girl, bye. Because now it's becoming a contradiction. Now it's like everything that you all have believed in, you're willing to sell out your principles to keep people in place. We've learned nothing. Listen, I'm taking my time. I'm working on my final chapter in my book. We're getting closer and closer. But I just want to name the fact that we've entered this part of stan culture where all these people in these positions of power are now at the point where they really want to separate themselves from the drama, from the criticism. Nah, you got to sit with it. You got to sit in it. You got to sit in it. You got to sit in it. You got to own it. You really do. You got to own your shit. So I'm noticing this pattern of folks that's, playing into that. We got to be better people. Just saying. So he's also, and this is what everybody's talking about, he's also appointed Dr. Erica Schwartz to lead the CDC. Now, Dr. Erica Schwartz, okay, so I got to say this. There's been this running joke that people are like, she's black. She's a black woman. Let me name this first. She's a black woman. She's made history. And she's leading the Center for Disease Control. Big damn position. Big damn deal. But what's funny was that when I show people the picture on my IG story, because when the New York Times did the breaking news and people did the breaking news, they said, oh, Dr. Erica Schwartz appointed to lead the CDC. That last name, Schwartz, that's a Jewish last name. Like, well, at least people know it for that. Like, people know it for it being a Jewish name. Like, when you hear the last name Schwartz, right? You might think, oh, you know, Schwartz. It's going to be a thing. Like, well, that last name, people might assume that, he's, he might be, wears shorts. That's a Jewish last name. Like, is she Jewish? So someone I know who I'm cool with, I was like, oh, do you know, this guy, whatever. And I was like, oh, Shorts. Oh, that's interesting. You know, I I don't know, like, what's his connection, right? Everybody was like trying to find out. Shorts has been traditionally a Jewish last name. A lot of people, I know a couple of Jewish people named that's there, and it's very telling because people say that, they were trying to figure out what's his information. They met at Brown. That's where they met. They met at Brown, and they met at Brown Medical. They went to Brown University Medical School, their meeting point. So that's their alma mater. He got a law degree from the University of Maryland, and that was his other connection. So they're very connected. And I said, when I saw that, somebody made the joke, well, is that, the joke was they had was, is that, is that his background or whatever the case is? Like, is this, what's his tea? I think it's one of the situations that I don't know who her husband is like that, but he is faculty, I guess. People are looking at his background. I haven't seen pictures of him, but folks are like, is he white? Like, what's his racial identity? Because everybody wants to know who he is. Like, given who she is, because she's very accomplished, but everybody wants to know who her husband is. And they want to know, like, who's Mr. Schwartz? Um, like, who is Daniel Schwartz? Like, who is he? Who is this man that got the streets talking? But he hasn't really used his photos. Like, no one has seen his photos. Like, I've not seen a picture of him. But I'm imagining that potentially, like, is Dr. Schwartz, is he white? Is he Jewish? Like, what's his, because she took his last name. So, they're married, but everybody wants to know. But the joke was, for a while, is that people were saying that the running joke was that, that Trump probably, before he hired her, did actually look her up, just look at the last name and assume that she was not black. And that's why, she got the job. The joke was like when they looked at the pic, when they finally met her in person, like, mind you, this is a joke. This is not real. But the joke was that someone had said was that when he saw the name on the resume, he didn't think that was who it was until the end. I've had situations like that. Like, Owens is not read as necessarily a black name, last name. Like, my name, Ernest Owens, right? Ernest, if you know black folks know people named Ernest. Like, Ernest, it's funny enough, is what people call I got an old black name, a black uncle name. Like, there's Ernests out there. But if you know Ernest is a very black uncle name. But also, there are white people named Ernest, right? And there's there. But, like, my name, just on paper, Ernest Owens, does not read as black. I have one of those quote unquote resume names, right? Versus, like, someone like Elijah Mitchell, or Jaquan Jackson, something Jackson, right? You go, or Johnson, if it's a very Laquan Johnson or Dequan, like, it's always like, look, my friend Jamarcus Henderson, his name is Jamarcus Henderson. That reads, to some people, they're going to read that and go, that's a black name, right? But then you got Josh Moore, right? Josh Moore, I don't know, right? George Banks Weston, like, may not necessarily read that as black. Like, what is a black name is what the joke is. Because people have names, like there's some names that you're going to assume some things, right? Especially people as Latino, right? If it's the last name's like a Martinez or Santiago. But one thing I have noticed, though, is that I'm keeping it 100, there are white women that I know that they marry their spouses and they take their spouses' last names and they're applying for jobs and no one's asking them what their racial identity makeup is, but they're showing up with those last names and people are like, your last name is Wong? But they're applying for diversity positions with those last names. And yet, listen, all I'm saying is white women have benefited more from affirmative action than black and brown people. It's just a fact. And for various reasons, right? But affirmative action was just not a beneficiary for people based on race. It was an opportunity for people from various marginalized backgrounds. And women is considered a minority demographic. It's an underrepresented class. But people are so quick. Anytime black people get something or anything we earn or opportunity, we're always the first to be questioned on the merits of it. It's just racism, but never the same level. I'm not saying that women are not just in general, but white women, I can say, are not questioned as much as other peers in underrepresented classes. How do I know? Because we can start with the basics. Black women, you can see inequity amongst even women based on gender. You know it's a racial thing because even when you talk about the gender, like if you say, and there's some white women who I know, not like as in a friendship, but in professional spaces, that will talk about gender issues in a very lackluster way that does not include intersectionality. So they'll say, oh, well, I'm a woman. As a woman, it's been hard. And I'm like, oh, there's no denying that. But to try to make a comparison of the different opportunity levels, white women, like in places I've worked, even in journalism, are quick and faster to get opportunities in job promotions and opportunities more than me as a black man. They will hire a white woman faster than they will hire me as a black man. So when you talk about gender in a way that ignores race, I can't hear anything more because I just know that there is nuances in those conversations. And so it's annoying when white women will use feminism to try to dismiss like critiques about these issues when it comes to black people talking about them, whether it's a black man, a black queer person, a black trans person, or a black woman. It's like if you lack an intersectional framing in these conversations, then you're not serious about addressing inequity or bigotry or hate. Because if you can't even see the privilege that you have in these spaces, then how can you also talk about male privilege or tribalism? And how do you talk about that to a person that's a black man in a country where we know the dynamics between white women and black men in these conversations around justice and equity? If you can't, I had a whole argument many years ago with a white woman who was in a space I was teaching at Cheney. And she said something along the lines of, I said simply that I said, hey, that there is racism, there's racial disproportion in HBCU colleges and certain spaces that there are opportunities for white people to advance. And I said white people, right? And she goes, well, yeah, as a woman, I can agree that there's even more difference in opportunities provided. I said, well, yes, but white women, specifically as a white person, regardless of your gender, in these dynamics, you still have the upper hand over black people, regardless of gender, right? And her response to me, it was so crude, but it was very much, oh, well, that's rich coming from a man saying this. I said, not rich coming from a black man saying this to a white woman. You can hear a pin drop in that conversation. I said, there are more white women in education than black men. Black men is like literally the lowest in the higher education spectrum. As a black male professor, we are literally an endangered species in higher education. In public education, period. In all forms of education, Black men are very underrepresented. Very. So for a white woman to try to tell me it's very rich coming from you as a man to say that, when I said, first of all, don't make it a gender conversation if you're going to erase the inequities of Black women in your own conversation within your own demographic. Also, do not even erase the nuances and complexities of race in the conversation by trying to invoke gender. I will say this and I'll believe it. There are white women that weaponize gender and feminism as a way to further suppress and silence and deflect themselves and divorce themselves from accountability in these conversations around inequity and diversity. That's just a real thing. It's time to just say the thing and name it and be very crystal clear about it. Because I've seen, I can't tell you how many examples I've seen, even in journalism, where, you know, again, as a Black male reporter, as a Black queer male reporter, but just as a Black reporter, having conversations about newsrooms, having a lack of diversity, white women will take up space in the conversation because they feel uncomfortable hearing these conversations and simply go, oh, well, yeah, well, let's talk about the women. And it's like, when I said Black people, I wasn't talking about Black men. I also was including Black women. Why are you juxtaposing gender and race? Because honestly, we can have a racial conversation and a lot of the same issues pertaining to gender will still fall into it. Because I also know that in conversations with women, with white women specifically, when they're advocating for more women representation, they're not speaking to the inclusion of diversity in that spectrum. I rarely see in my journalism experience that in conversations around diversifying and including more women, they're not advocating for Black women to be elevated in that conversation. For me, as a Black person, when I say I want to elevate Black journalists or Black people in the newsroom, I don't care what their religious beliefs are. I don't care what their gender is or their sexual orientation. I said Black people, period. What's interesting enough is that with white women specifically, when they have conversations about amplifying women in these roles, I rarely see Black women being a part of that conversation or advocacy, which is why I don't get into these gender conversations around DEI in that way unless we're having a conversation that includes Black women at the table. Because when we're talking about who is the most demographic getting unemployed right now, Black women are the highest people that are getting a part of these massive layoffs from these government jobs and these positions. And part of the reason why is because ain't that many Black men even getting those opportunities. So the ones that are Black women in certain cases, and yet they're the ones who's also being cut. I'm just naming the facts. So, Democrats this week, and not just Democrats, but notably, last episode we talked about Eric Swalwell. I said that I felt like this conversation and situation, and I kind of predicted this, but I was like, y'all, we're arguing about the wrong thing. Listen, the assault allegations, whether they're true or not, depending on who wants to defend it or not, there was smoke there. We don't need to wait for quote unquote proof. We don't need to wait until we have quote unquote proof for this man to resign, the criminal proof. The betrayal of his behavior, the fact that he was having these inappropriate relationships, whether they were consensual or not, to me was a justification for him to leave. The problem that I think some Democrats, not all Democrats, but some Democrats are having with these types of allegations is that they so badly want to keep Trump. I have this conspiracy. I don't want to call it conspiracy. I'm going to call it a theory, but I guess a conspiracy theory, whatever. But part of me feels like Trump's demise, just as his moral bankruptcy, has like kind of lowered the bar in a way that Democrats want to benefit from the lowering of that bar. So rather than maintain these high ethical standards, right? They want to lower the bar because the bar is on the floor by Trump. But let's be very clear. There's always a thing about Democrats, Republicans fall in line, Democrats, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell y'all something. That's if you are, if the mindset is that you want this quote unquote winning strategy. That's why I can't listen. And I don't like when people say that and play these games about, oh, Democrats need to get in line. In some cases, yes, right? Some cases, I do think that if we're talking just straight up politics and policy, we can have a conversation about that. But when it comes to scandals and it comes to things like this, humanity, we don't lose our humanity in the pursuit of winning because, and to me, that's not winning. And I think too often the Democrats go quickly, well, so-and-so did this, so why can't I? Listen, that's what they accept in a party. That's not what we accept on ours. And if you think that the standards are too damn high, then maybe you shouldn't run for office. But just because someone else lowers their standards, don't mean I got to lower mine. I don't care that Trump was involved in a cover-up that involved a former adult entertainment. Okay, your point? That's not okay. But just because he did that and Republicans did not buck against him to impeach him, or they did impeach him, I believe. No, I don't think they impeached him for that. No, he wasn't in office then. But the fact that they reelected him, and he became a felon behind this payout, this whole situation, he got 38 convictions for it. The fact that that even happened and they still elected him told us what it is. The truth of the matter is that people always go up and down. If Obama did that, da, da, da. Well, absolutely, you're absolutely correct. Because his voters and his base holds him to a higher standard, as they should. So do not compare Democratic voters to MAGA, because the truth of the matter is it's not okay. So I think Eric Swalwell probably thought initially his pride was that they're so, and you noticed this, Gavin Newsom playing his game, all of them are, where they want to test the waters on these very fucked up problematic ideas and policies. They think that they're going to meet this middle ground. No, you're not. You're just lowering your standards. And you think that by lowering your standards, you're going to appeal to a baseline. They don't like you. They will never like you as long as you're a Democrat. The only way that you're going to win those people over is literally if you convert yourself to being a different politician. Okay? Like at the end of the day, this shit with Fetterman, right? Like Fetterman has transformed into a Republican at this point. He literally is a Democrat in name only. The crazy part is that if a Republican runs against him, they're going to still vote for that Republican. They're not going to convert over to the Democratic Party. I don't get why people think that the more you try to go right, that automatically you're going to, unless you change your political party, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You have to change your political party. Like Republicans are like that. Now Democrats are very different. But Republicans are very big on like, if you're not with us, you against us attitude. I get it. Do your big one. I get it. But that wasn't going to happen. So I think Eric was on this whole, I'm going to defend myself to the end and I'm not leaving. I'm not going. Like, no, you ain't Trump. You ain't a Republican. The fuck? Like, if you don't go somewhere and sit your ass down. So he did. He quickly suspended his campaign. And there was more allegations that have come. And now there's a criminal investigation. Like, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. So now that begs the questions of other people asking for other Democrats to resign and also Republicans. Another Republican, well, not another, but a Republican has also resigned this past week, I'm sorry. Tony Gonzalez, who is a Republican from Texas. Now, first of all, other Republicans have been calling for him to step down because he's been in a lot of shit. And, you know, it's again, they start calling for his resignation because he had months of intense scrutiny, and there was people trying to do an expulsion vote over sexual misconduct allegations. The resignation happened because he admitted in early this year, in early March, that an extramarital affair with a staffer. And this staffer died by suicide in late 2025. He was also accused of messing around with another staffer or soliciting nude photos in exchange of favors. And the House Ethics Committee had launched an investigation into whether he engaged in sexual misconduct or dispensed special favors. So he was accused of soliciting nude photographs from another staffer. So this is just a lot. Regina Santos Alves is the woman who died by suicide that was a staffer. And so it was scandalous. And many people had called for his resignation. A lot of people did. So his resignation, along with that of Eric Swalwell, occurred just before the House was preparing for this rare expulsion votes against both of them. There are some other people in Congress right now dealing with other allegations. There's a Black congresswoman who's dealing with some allegations, and she hasn't been found guilty of anything, but the controversies are building up on her. She's a Democrat. And so there's just numerous people being called to step down or to resign in Congress. And it's not good. It's not good. It's you got Corey Mills and Sheila Shirelles McCormick. So Sheila, she's the Democrat in Florida. She's facing a federal indictment and potential expulsion hearing over allegations of misusing $5 million in federal disaster funds, basically FEMA, for her political campaign. And Corey Mills, another problem, he's got an ethics probe over alleged sexual misconduct, dating violence, and campaign finance violations. And he's a Republican in Florida. So both a Democratic congressperson and a Republican congressperson in Florida. Like, Florida, what is going on? Now, Tony Gonzalez, his actual name is Ernest Anthony Gonzalez. And he was born on October 10th, 10 days before mine, but he was born in 1980. Sir, a mess. A mess. And so Gonzalez is gone. Swalwell is gone. We're going to keep an eye on Corey Mills, and we're going to keep an eye on Sheila McCormick. But this is rare. Like, we've never seen and this is a bipartisan effort. But basically, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats are going to get the door. A Republican Democrats already left before they were even called to the carpet. But these 2 are still in the midst. What's messy is that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has noted the need to follow ethics procedures. But, because he's basically been trying to hold off on calling for people to. But that's part of hypocrisy, because he doesn't want to deal with the criticism that Trump is experiencing. He doesn't want to deal with the fact that if he calls for people to resign without all of the quote unquote hearings, he doesn't want to have to deal with being oh, so then why we didn't call Trump to resign? So he's kind of holding that together. But we're gonna watch that space. And then quickly, before we get into some media stuff going on, because there's a lot going on. Mamdani has been in the news 2 times. One, him and Obama, former President Barack Obama, was reading books in New York City, and it was powering up. I thought that was interesting. Obama embracing Mamdani, that's an interesting collab. I mean, he had been a little quiet with the New York City race, and I think he was trying to fall back from it a little bit. But now they all okay. I'm not against it. I'm not against it after the fact that Mamdani went to go see Trump, and that was getting a little too weird. So now he's over with Obama. So, okay, cool. He recently decided he's not going to the Met Gala. And honestly, y'all, I've been I don't know if the word's conflicted, but I don't know if I'm conflicted. I think I'm actually have made my mind up. I'm really not feeling the Met Gala. And I know Beyonce and the certain people are putting together this year. But knowing that Vogue and just it's complicating me because I love The Devil Wears Prada. I do love that movie, but I am saying I do feel some type of way about this year with the Bezos. I feel like all of the attention that they're doing with Lawrence Bezos and Sanchez or whatever his wife's name is. But the fact that they're embracing this oligarch in this way, and this man who is funding problematic ass shit that's hurting all of us, like to just try to give him this cool posture, like, oh, he's at these events. It just feels so cheap to me. Like you're that rich and you're that powerful, and you don't really dress like anything. You don't look like anything. That money really cannot buy you swag. Like you're like one of the richest men in the world, but yet you just look so cheap. You have no flavor. Like you're just not good. But like to be complicit with all that's going on, I understand why Mom Donnie did not go. Like normally any mayor of New York City is always guaranteed an invitation to the Met Gala. He's not going. He's not participating in that shit. Very well done. Very well done. This man could have met Beyonce. I don't know if I would have had that much strength in me. I probably would have. Now I would have still been a little feeling some type of way. But I will say that is just I really I think I don't know. I'm debating how I'm gonna talk about the Met Gala this year. Like normally, I share pictures and things and best dress and stuff. I'll be following all the way through. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna really I might share a couple of stuff maybe that come on my timeline that stands out, right? But I'm not gonna go all in on it this year. I'm really not because of what it stands for this year. Like what y'all doing? Like y'all first of all, Bezos could just pay for the whole thing. Like you could just make the money contributions and donate or whatever. But like Courtney, his ex-wife is giving more money than he's giving, and he's supposed to be richer. He's richer than her. I have no respect for it. And I think shout out to Madonna for staying on business and not going though. That's very notable. So speaking of layoffs, there's been a lot. We are officially in the mega layoff shift. We're in the era of the mega layoff. Like everyone's talking about. The Wall Street Journal said it, but some people even called it the forever layoff. Like just basically layoffs are just going to be coming. And people are saying it's because of AI. There's some over hiring. That there was a lot of aggressive hiring done during the pandemic era. You know what? I don't really know about AI. There's some people saying that AI is replacing staff. Research have said that that's actually not all the way true. That like the whole idea of AI taking jobs was not as expansive as people think it was. Like, okay, in some cases, yes, some people did make the switch to AI. I would say the only industry where I feel like that was the most glaring was media. Definitely media. Like in journalism, specifically in media, I can definitely attest to the fact of saying like, yeah, there has been a very major shift, right? That there are jobs being cut because of AI based on that, because, research purposes, copy, all the things. But across the board, I don't think that AI is just completely have yet. I don't say it will ever forever be, but I would say that it has yet, in my opinion, has cut everybody completely off. I don't think that's been the case. I don't think that's been, at least in my opinion, the big jolt of it all. I don't see that happening. Um, yeah, mm-mm. In my opinion. Um, that being said, I definitely think that the over hiring, I think that was a big one. There was a period of time, I want to say, really from the pandemic era in 2020, 2022, that there was a lot of money getting pumped into folks getting those checks. And y'all know what checks I'm talking about. And with all that money happening, people need to spend it properly and use it for resources. So a lot of these companies that apply for these big, huge, massive federal funding, these grants and all these things, they use the money to just get a lot of staff for things because they just really wanted to. I mean, some people didn't need the equipment. Some people need to get equipment upgrades, but people also wanted to keep the job, the economy going. So a lot of people had all these positions, and even got a lot of positions, and no one's talking about enough. But I'm not even gonna go all the way there. Is our local government like Philadelphia? I mean, if you're in Philadelphia, you know what I'm talking about. Even in Harrisburg State, I just feel like it's just too many jobs. I'm not saying people need to get laid off. I'm not saying people need to get laid off, but I do think we got too many damn jobs in the city. And I don't know what people are doing. I just don't. I don't know. How do you have a city like Philadelphia specifically has like has city council members that got like full-time jobs, right? That's for the city. Do you know in places like Houston, other places, people that serve on these city councils and these things like that, these are not like full-fledged, full-time jobs in the same way that it is in Philly. Like that is like Philadelphia city government is one of the few governments that like everybody who's elected pretty much this is their full time. Like they got full salaries and benefits. Like we have such a huge bureaucracy. And yet for all of that bureaucracy that we have, how come shit still feels more convoluted, confusing, and oversaturated? Is it just me? But that's just something I've noticed. Like I just feel like things have gotten even more complex than what they need to be. And I think that's because we got too much damn government. Like just see that I'm in my bag. I wasn't gonna go there. But just to some extent, you got deputies on top of deputies and chiefs of staffs for each of the deputies of the staff. Like it's just too much fucking like jobs. And for me, you got all these people and yet no one knows the fuck they're doing. Like it's so many people. And I'm just like, y'all got all these job positions that y'all putting up. Y'all need all these people to do all these things. And yet shit's still not getting done on time. Shit's still not getting done. Like, make it make sense. That's how I feel. Make it make sense. And that brings me to the findings from this story I read. This piece came out called "Has the Era of the Mega Layoff Arrived?" Not MAGA, mega. Companies like Snap, 16% of them have laid off their workers. Block laid off 40%. There's been a lot of conversations about cost management, increasing profit margins to satisfy investor demands for efficiency. It's a lot of companies, right? We heard about Facebook, Disney just did some big numbers. And that's ridiculous. Like even Meta about to do 8,000 possibly. There's gonna be a surge because they're about to take. I mean, the Meta AI push they're saying is playing a role in this. Like 8,000 jobs they're talking about. Like now this is involving Polymarket. They're seeing the tech layoff surge as Meta AI push these bites. The AI push from Meta is they're saying driving it up at this point. But even outside of just the AI conversation, I think AI is a scapegoat. And I've said this for a while, like the research is kind of matching some of that. We don't know what the new trends are going to be soon. But there was this, I remember like a year ago or something, people were just saying, oh, AI this, AI that, but that was like the scapegoat. And then before that, the scapegoat, remember, was like the inflation argument. Like we never actually got into this big, huge recession that everybody thought, but they were claiming like, oh, inflation and the economy that they was preparing. And that never really happened either. Like the stock market recently has been doing pretty good because of this war, which is not good. But like, it's weird that, well, war and finances, but like we're in this weird space right now where a lot of people are, I think, pointing the wrong fingers in the wrong direction to make sense of what we're currently experiencing. I think, in my honest opinion, that there is a combination of several things. I don't think AI is like the driving factor behind this. I think that they're the scapegoat, to be honest. I think that people are just using the AI conversation because it's so trendy to make that the case. But I don't really think that's the case. I think what's happening is, to be honest, is I think the pandemic, we're still experiencing the aftermath of the pandemic. I think the answer is the pandemic in more ways than one. The big thing that I think the way the pandemic is still influencing this is the entire work culture that we're in. Like when I think about Philadelphia, for example, um, this co-working space that I'm operating within has gotten really small in the past year. It's reducing its size. Um, and for a while I was kind of like, well, why would they do that? Like everyone's coming back to work, or isn't people like the pandemic, But people have not come back physically to work. And companies who've owned these properties, these buildings, are not either downsizing them or they're selling them all together. Because for starters, they got a lot of open space. For example, I don't know if you all know this, but Philadelphia Magazine does not like have a traditional office. They're now, I think, using some space at Fiddler Club, like some spaces for gatherings, but most of their workers are remote work. They're not working in an office. Like there's no Philadelphia Magazine office anymore. And it's been like that since the pandemic. Like that space they had in the Curtis building, they don't even have that anymore. They sold it. Like there's no like headquarter office like they used to. It's not there. The Philadelphia Inquirer, I haven't even stepped in a new building, but they had their building that was around Market. They're now in the Independence Plaza building, but they got like a floor or something. They don't have that huge ass newsroom. Most people are not working in there. Some of people go there to be cute, warm in office, but the whole big newsroom, all the offices, everybody got position. That is not like that anymore. They still got some office space, but it's not like it used to be. It's downsized major. And so, yeah, like a lot of these newsrooms have gotten really, really small. But that's even speaking to also property, right? So a lot of spaces that had WeWork, I don't even know if WeWork is really in Philly anymore. Like WeWork, I think, yeah, WeWork kind of went downhill. But like I remember in the early like 2010s when I was just getting out of school, like 2014, I graduated from Penn. I remember like there was this huge boom of like all this tech talk, like, oh, we're gonna innovation, everyone's independent, gig economy, and everybody's having all these co-working spaces and office culture and all this shit, all these little tech companies and stuff. That used to be all downtown Philly. Not here anymore. Philly was supposed to be the next Silicon Valley of the East Coast, whatever that means. Philly Tech Week used to really take over the city. I don't even know. I think Philly Tech Week still exists, but not in the way that it used to. Like all of this stuff is downsized. All of this work culture is downsized. The only people that's really downtown like that is maybe some lawyers, a couple of like the stores, the commerce, the selling merchandise stores, a couple of them, and of lawyers and investors like banks. The banks are downtown, but like all of these like offices, as general offices and things, child, most people are working remote. And so what has happened since then is, yes, there's been some inflation, right? Since the pandemic, there's been a lot of changing in like resource needs. But because of all of those things, stuff has definitely downsized. People realized, oh, I don't need to have a big old office downtown to feel efficient. Oh, people want to work remotely. And then when you start working remotely, companies, in my opinion, this is my theory, but people start working remotely, the mindset starts going, I'm paying you this much amount of money and your ass is not in an office from 9 to 10. You at home in your underwear and you getting this huge ass salary. I think companies start to say, you know what? We already got so much financial turmoil. People don't want to show up to work. Cool. Let's kill the office building. Saving some money right there. All the work supplies and things, a lot of that stuff goes out the drain, right? Then they start saying, okay, well, remote work, Well, then why we got to hire you? Because we was hiring people that was in this city specifically had to relocate. Now your position remote, we don't even need your ass in it. Maybe I can get a contractor to do it. So now they start cutting. Not only do they cut the office to save money, they start saying, "Well, wait a minute, we can take some of that money and hire a better person than what we currently have because we need this person because they have to live in Philadelphia to work in the office." Well, shit, if you don't live in here, we can make the job remote. So then they start downscaling the local jobs. So now people have full-time jobs. They turn them into contractor jobs. They start hiring outside people. You know how many Philadelphia quote unquote companies got folks in Jersey, New York, and everywhere outside of Philadelphia proper? Yeah. They don't even need to hire you anymore to be there physically. There used to be a time where a job was super competitive, even more even more, well, not even I won't say the word competitive, it was less competitive, but there was an attempt that, oh snap, they're looking for people in my city. How many people are going to relocate for that job opportunity? Now that you've opened up the job pool for a lot of remote jobs, now anybody can apply for these jobs, which makes them even harder to get. That's why everybody working for the city, because the city mandates that you have to live in the city to have the job. So people are clinging to get a city job with benefits and a salary. Yeah, you're gonna have to work from home. You have to work in the office, but those are like the only few jobs. That and eds and meds. I mean, some of these colleges like Penn and professor jobs and stuff. But I will tell you, as a professor, there is a lot of asynchronous learning being done. It's a lot of asynchronous learning. And as somebody who knows how to teach classes asynchronously and design them and all the things, baby, I'm making bank right now. I'm doing pretty good on the side with, the asynchronous, the digital online courses and stuff. But there's just becoming an increase of that's downsizing in person. And I think that is a lesson from the pandemic. And we're still learning from that right now. And so I think, in my opinion, the pandemic, the aftermath of the pandemic, the transformation of the traditional workforce is the reason why we're having all these layoffs now. Because I think that during the pandemic, people, look, they said, cool, we ain't in office, we back outside. I think they thought that they were going to have all these jobs and bring everybody back. But then when it came back, they realized, I don't really have to do this anymore. So then I'm going to change. I see it now with McDonald's, fast food restaurants, all them jobs where you have to work at the front, you have to do this. The only people working now at these places nowadays are the cooks in the back, but all them cashiers and, they'll have one person that does the cleanup, but all the extra rah-rah, no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It's the McDonald's on 40th that I walk past. I don't go in there often. Maybe sometimes I get a sausage, egg McMuffin, and a hashback every blue moon. It's so weird to me that place used to be animated with staff, like people that was working the front, working in multiple cashiers, the front desk. I mean, they still have them like one person, but it's not the large staff. Like these people are literally just an off-put for delivery. Most of the real staff, which is quote unquote not real staff, but the Uber Eats drivers and all them people that do the pickups, more people are doing delivery than going to fast food places because that's also a thing. There's an uptick in delivery. And delivery, working on delivery pricing. Because now that everybody's doing delivery and can get food, like I don't even do carry out. I rarely do carry out. Nowadays, my dining experience is either I am doing delivery or if I do go out to dinner, I'm going to like a high-end restaurant. I rarely go to a mom and pop's restaurant often. I have to be honest. Like if they got a delivery, I will do delivery. Like it's like now going out for me, if I am going to go out like that, it's going to be an experience, But like, if I'm not going out to like even movies, look at the movie theaters. Look what they're going through. Unless there is like a major movie experience, I'm watching everything direct to home. I'm not really going to movies like that for everything because every movie, I just feel like every movie don't require me to have to fork over that amount and go see it. Not every movie's worth that for me. Like, I'm going to see The Devil Wears Prada 2 in the theaters, for sure. But I don't know the next time. I mean, maybe The Odyssey, maybe if I want to be in a movie theater that long with folks, But I'm not chasing every single movie. Like, all of these things, you just realize so much of these things you don't need. Not to say that you need to be counseled completely, because I do believe there's something about going to the movies to see a movie, with people, right? Some movies, I do believe that. Like going to the movie theaters to go see Sinners, yeah, that was an event. But I feel like nowadays is pushing everyone to recognize that, you know what, you can't just take money and not, like, value has been called into question of things. For a long time, people was just throwing money out. But when you're in an economy like this scarce, everything do need to have a little bit more value or a little bit more reasoning. We don't have enough disposable income as a society to just go to a bad movie and move on, or go to a restaurant that's just everything is bad and be fine with it. Like we're not in that era right now. Too the '90s, the stories I used to hear about folks in the '90s, like my parents and shit, like, oh yeah, we went to this and did this. I'm like, what? Or y'all paid to go to movie theaters to watch a movie called Booty Call? Like, y'all went to the movies to see that? That's a Netflix movie where I'm from. But like, that was all the options. So you just had to roll the dice of movie rentals. Oh my goodness, remember that? Movie rentals? I remember that loosely. But wasting money to rent a movie that could be a bad movie. And then you have to send it back or whatever. Like that's a different era. People just are very much like, I think that's why we're seeing so many sequels. Because even our habits, people are not willing to give a brand new movie that's from somebody we don't know without major stars a chance. That's why so many of these movies don't do well at the theaters as much, because people are not taking a shot. People want to get convenience and comfort based on familiarity because they don't have money. Like, if I'm going to spend money at the movie theaters, right? I need a movie that I know most likely will be good. There's not that many movies I've watched, I've paid money for that are bad, because I refuse to. It's got to be an event. It's got to be something epic. It's got to be something that I can't do at home, right? Like, if I can watch a movie that I could watch at home that's super similar, that doesn't give me something to think about, like, and I think that's why rom-coms, like soft rom-coms, aren't doing good as much anymore, because people are like, that's a silly movie that could be on Netflix. I'm not going to drop like 20 something bucks to go to the movies to go see that when I can. That's the cost of the damn movie if I wanted to. It's like, I think we're in a place where I think everyone, because of the pandemic, and that's why I think we're having these layoffs, are rethinking the entire model. That's my theory. But moving on, there is this big conversation happening right now with Live Nation. And we've talked about Live Nation a lot on this podcast because of Rock Nation, Urban Nation are all the same thing. Well, there's a lot. Live Nation has been found, New York jury has found them guilty of violating, them and Ticketmaster, of violating antitrust laws. We knew this day was going to come. We knew this day was going to come. And ticket fees and things are going to change. Justice. Okay? Shout out to New York Attorney General Letitia James. I tell y'all, don't mess with Tish. Tish James, she's the one. She's been the one. I've been saying it for years. She's the one. Okay? Her and 33 other attorneys generals secured a legal victory against Live Nation and Ticketmaster. The jury ruled they violated federal and state antitrust laws. The jury found that the companies illegally eliminated competition, raising ticket costs for fans, artists, and venues nationwide. It went for 5 weeks. But the jury, they sided with Attorney General James and her coalition. And it confirmed that they unlawfully maintain and abuse their monopoly power in the ticketing services and concert venue markets. So now, the next steps is that they're going to argue for remedies and financial penalties in a forthcoming bench trial. So we're going to see what happens next. But this is coming. It's coming. And I'm so here for it. Long overdue. Long overdue. Justice. Okay? So moving on to local politics. Ooh, every time I leave and go out of town, that's when everybody want to show their ass and do the most, right? Oh my goodness. I came back to Philly and woo, y'all got silly in Philly while I was gone. Y'all got silly in Philly while I was gone. Where do I start? I'm going to start light and I'm going to get up there because I got some things I need to say. 76ers, that arena deal that didn't happen. Well, they found one WNBA team is coming to Philly. We don't know the name of the team and what it's about, but that is happening, which I hinted at that already. I feel like I feel like it was like the worst kept secret in Philadelphia for such a time. But we have a WNBA team. They know the new location for the new arena that's soon to come is going to be right next to SEPTA's Broad Street line. Of course it is. They're going to put it over there next to SEPTA's Broad Street line. Hopefully we still have a SEPTA by the time they finish that arena, but that's where they want to put us. And I think with all these $1 Uber ride share taxes, I guess that's going to be the thing, right? So other things that's come out, police wanted, the police have now went to the hearing. The police department is asking for a nearly $1 billion increase on policing, touting all the things they've done in reducing crime, since there's been a new administration at the police department, Philadelphia Police Department specifically, and they're talking about crime reduction. They need more money to keep it going. Y'all already know how I feel about the police budget. Y'all already know how I feel about the police. I just think, how can the city afford this while taxing people? But it's not going to change. City council's going to be complicit. I'm just noting it. So these taxes, the Parker administration has now been working very closely with the Philadelphia School District to really continue to make the Uber tax a thing. This time around, the school district says that 340 school district jobs will be saved if the Uber tax gets passed. That's some nasty ass work. It's nasty because now you're dangling jobs, employment over people's head over a regressive ass tax that is not good. And what's frustrating is that rather than this city make other people and other institutions or others or do some cutting backs elsewhere, they will rather continue to put this tax on the working class people to make sure that we do it. Because now the person who might be in the city, who might be in the Philadelphia School District, might go, I don't like this Uber tax, but now feel like they have to support it because they think their livelihood's on the line. That is so messed up. Dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. And the thing is that if they cared so much and they knew this was going to happen, why would they ever put the fate of this on a tax to begin with? Yeah, I don't like it. I think this is very cowardly. They're pulling all the stunts. And here's the thing. I don't know if I believe it. I don't know that if this tax passes, there won't be another crisis. There won't be another thing that they're going to dangle over people's heads. I don't like it. I really don't. I'm just very disappointed with certain people and how they're moving on this. And it's just nasty work. And it's like, this is going to be the thing every single time because it's like all the cronyism in politics, all these damn jobs, all these damn departments, and nobody can think of other economic solutions that does not require these basic lazy, like what's the point of having all these city employees if we're going to go the most basic ass route known to man and try to get money and revenue for things? Like, this is just so embarrassing and it's so disgusting and it's just so unfortunate. And you know what? If this Uber tax passes, I hope that there are lots of people waiting in the wings to run for city council and run on this issue. And you know what? I will vote for some of these people. Whoever votes for that Uber tax, you should be primaried. You should be primaried. You should. If you vote for that Uber tax, if you support that Uber tax, you should be primaried. I'm just going to make it plain. There's no skipping over this. You should be primaried. It's fiscally irresponsible. It does not have to be the case. I don't know why people can't sit at the room, sit at the table. And you know what I also think? This is the one tax out of her three taxes, out of Mayor Sherrill Parker's three taxes that she can actually get. The hotel tax, I don't think it's going to happen because the city don't know where they want to be. They got a $25 million, city council gave them a $25 million like lifeline to be able to make a strong bid for the DNC. How you think you'll get the Democratic National Convention to come to Philadelphia, but you're trying to raise the hotel taxes? Where to do that at? The tourism hospitality groups are already saying that is they do not want this deal in place. The revenue that they think they're going to make off of it is up in the air because it's through a 5-year plan. So the money isn't necessarily going to be guaranteed. They don't have no way of knowing if they're going to get how much money they claim they're going to get from this tax because it's supposed to spread out for 5 years. So no one's going to be able to know, the year or whatever, if the money is going to build out because they're doing this through a 5-year plan. This is not like a solid plan. So you don't even know if, like, let's say down the road, this don't work out. She would have already been out of office by then. Like, that is just, again, nasty work. A 5-year plan, how convenient. On the 3rd year of your term, very telling. I don't think they're gonna pass that hotel tax. I think that hotel tax is not gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. The Amazon delivery tax, I think that's just been the one in the wing, in the closet, and very quiet. But there needs to be like some state influences that's gonna influence it. I think it's PICO that's gonna have to determine this budget and how it's gonna work, right? But the reality is that Governor Shapiro has made it very clear on something that I agree with him about, that he does not want to have any new taxes this fiscal year and not right now. Not with everything going on right now in his race and in the state and with Republicans. Because the moment you raise these taxes, you're going to lose some votes. You're going to lose votes two ways. You're going to lose votes in people that's just not going to go to the polls this year and just show up for the election, which are just going to toss their vote aside. Or you're going to have people that are going to actually vote against this. Like, they're going to vote for Republicans because they're going to think about their financial future more so over anything else. Selfish, not the best answer in the world, but will be the result because all these other things that we're investing this money in, at this point, we're not. Like, the school closures are going to happen regardless. Like, if they would have said that this tax was going to save the schools and there were not going to be school closures, by so many means, I think a lot of people might be on board. But now tossing 340 jobs up in the mist, if this bill don't pass, is just really reckless. Because then my question is, what are you going to do to save those jobs? You mean to tell me your whole plan is hell-bent on this tax happening? Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. And then lastly, this election, this congressional race is heating up. It is a 3-person race. It's been that way for a while, but now we can honestly say it. It is Sharif Street versus Dr. Ayla Stanford versus Chris Rabb. I don't know how I feel about this. I am shifting my rankings on who I think is going to be where. Now, I still think Sharif Street is a front runner. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But I definitely think there might be a major hiccup. I think that Chris Rabb is going to be closer than I thought before. Initially, it looked as though he was going to be third and Ayla was going to be second. And I'm still not ready to fully say that. But I'm going to take a limb here to say that right now, if I was testing the election right now, I think Sharif is 1. I think Rabb is now 2. And I think Ayla is now 3. Ayla was initially 2 to me, with Sharif Street not leaving. And I'm going to get to why I think Sharif is just never going to lose that one spot. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the way voters are going to show up at the polls. That's my estimates, because we haven't seen any polling data. But, I think I'm a little bit of analysis. I have a little bit of good analyzing skills, a little bit, I think that Sharif is going to stay at number one, as meaning I think he's still the front runner. I think it's very clear, and then what happened this past week confirms that for me. But I'm looking specifically at just certain things that have happened in this race. It has come out that despite over a $160,000 theft that he experienced, there was somebody that was a part of his team. Y'all heard about this. Initial estimates was around like 89,000. I thought it was like I've heard 90 in circles. Now all of a sudden, this person that was there from Florida, whatever that was on his team, whatever that took his money, it's now over $106,000. But the reason why that number is now coming out now is because the news has been reported that he has raised nearly twice as much of his opponents. He's now the highest fundraiser right now. He has raised nearly twice as much as the opponents because the new finances came out this just recently. The new campaign finance reports came out. So he is ranking in some dough. Like the money's coming. A lot of this money is national money, it appears. Not so much local. A lot of outside money is coming, but he's not doing the super PAC money, which is good. But he's getting some money and he's raising the money, but the money is coming from outside groups. There's a lot of progressive coalitions and groups nationally is paying close attention to this race for him. He's securing some very, interesting endorsements from various progressive groups. But it's becoming strong, right? So he is made himself the progressive candidate in the race. And he's also raising some good money. And so I think that at this point, I would put him at 2 right now. Right now, if I was betting man, I think he's number 2. Dr. Ayla Stanford, what's going on with her? I think several things have happened. For starters, that super PAC narrative and money thing is hitting her campaign. A lot of people I'm talking to have some concerns about her. One, her experience, the comments she made about calling, saying it the G word, genocide's the G word. But it's not so much that the genocide's the G word. I think I want to be very clear. I think sometimes a moment happens and it encapsulates a lot of other concerns. It's not about so much about that statement alone for a lot of voters that I've talked to, but more so about this in correlation to the type of money she's getting and also a lack of familiarity with her politics. People just don't really know exactly who she is because she has not had a legislative history. The major players who have ran in his race, like people like Morgan Cephas and, of course, Ravish Retreat. These are people that are legislators. They've done policy. Dr. Ayla Stanford is running for a very competitive seat, right? And interesting enough, she hasn't even actually served as legislator anywhere else. So to put her in this seat, it's just a hard sell to people. I mean, people want change, but she was looking like that at first until some of her political moves. I think her taking the PAC money will eventually be the reason, in my mind, why she will lose. And when she do lose, because she will, unless there's some crazy thing that will happen. But if we're on the current pace now, I don't see her winning because I do think that, yes, she's got ads running, but I think that the super PAC money is a concern. When you are a political candidate running for office for the first time, and you don't actually have a legislative background, to be the only candidate in this race accepting super PAC money means that super PAC, whoever they are, sees you as impressionable and sees you as a puppet they can own. There is a history that super PAC oftentimes will put money behind a newbie candidate because they want to control the agenda narrative. At the end of the day, people will say, well, how do we know that she won't do it? Well, she says she won't do it, but we don't know for a fact because she has not actually served in office and we do not know how that's going to impact the way that she shows up in Congress. We don't know. And that's such a serious position. So I think that move really took away from her bucking against the establishment, her being something different. Because you're one of the same. Like that's what happens, right? You're taking PAC money, super PAC money, and you're already taking milquetoast stances on issues that are coming from people in connection possibly to these types of super PACs that are concerning. it's just like she's done really mellowed herself in a way that doesn't make her feel like she's the bold new take. So who's done that? Chris Rabb. Chris Rabb is coming in hot. Chris Rabb is coming in strong. My only thing with Chris Rabb is that I feel like the national money is cool, but y'all know how I feel about national politics. Those votes are not, those endorsements and votes are not coming from inside. There are people that are going to support him, but progressives that I know are split on him. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. If you've paid attention to the endorsements that he's received, it's not a collective front of individual progressives. Progressive groups are endorsing him, but elected officials and some of his colleagues are not. And that just tells me that he's in such a polarizing state that he can't even build a consensus across his own party, like his own baseline support. I mean, he is a Democrat, but he is more working Family's Party than anything else. But there are some fractions within this progressive space towards him that are warranted. It's not just people just simply saying, "Oh, I'm not voting for him because of this," but he has not necessarily been like he has not been the very fair or fair or a good sport, as some have said it, and I've talked to. That he's not a team player, and he's not strategic in the ways that will help even the people in the community that he say he cares about. So they're struggling with him. So I don't know. There's a wrestle there that doesn't seem fully fetched. Now, Sharif. Sharif has always done very consistent with fundraising. His fundraising has not been god awful or horrible. He's pretty steady. But he does have a very diverse set of endorsements, and he's done something that a lot of people ran in the seat wanted. Sherrod Parker's endorsed him. His former opponent and fellow Democrat, Morgan Cephas, has endorsed Sharif. After all the heat they had, after all of the back, I thought that, it was gotten to the point where it felt a little personal, that there's no way that she would endorse him. She would just kind of bow out. But she's got in on it. And so now people that have supported, Morgan is now supporting him. There is a large political coalition. He is, to so many people, the establishment candidate. Now, I'm not going to share yet who I am going to support. I mean, let me not clarify support, because that's not support. But who I think is the person that I think, in my opinion, should win. I'm going to share who that is. I'm not sharing it now. Elections can change, but I would say you all will get the podcast episode. Y'all listen to it every Monday morning, as always. It will be the day before the election. I will share my thoughts then. I will tell y'all who I think should win, or I believe should win, or who I would say deserves to win on that day. But not today. Not going to share that right now. It's too early. Because anything can happen. So much has happened. People just still dropping out the race. You just never know how it's going to shake up. So I'm just waiting to see it play out. But what I will say with Sharif is that he has a diverse coalition of endorsements. People will look at him as the establishment pick. He's not hiding from that. He is a Democrat. He is a former, anytime you are a former party chairperson of something, clearly you are establishment. He's not running from that. And the people that are coming out and endorsing him across the board, you got Isaiah Thomas, you got Andre Carroll, you got Mayor Sherrod Parker, you got Rue Landau, you got Morgan Cephas. You got people across the various different spectrums of the political arena that are like backing him. And that's not because I think it's because he's the quote unquote the establishment. I think that people really liked what they hear. And I think to send a Black Muslim man to Congress, I think means something to some various communities. He is a devout Muslim. He's also a Kappa. Not my choice of fraternity, but it is what it is, right? I'm being facetious with that. But I'm saying all this to say that there just seems to be a coalition that just seems to be there. He is a legislator that's been around. He is currently a state senator. I'm just going to leave it there. So we're going to move on to this week's Ask Ernest. But we will be paying attention to that race. and we're going to move on. So I guess I could say my former frat brother, Justin Fairfax, who was the lieutenant governor of Virginia, who had already had a string of sexual misconduct allegations to the point that his political future in Virginia ended, his political career ended, so much that he couldn't have a career really much after that. This past weekend, reports came out but before then, like right into Friday, that he had committed suicide. He killed his wife in their house and committed suicide. And his young children were in the house. This was after a long divorce, custody dispute between the couple. His wife, Dr. Serena Fairfax, a Black woman, was fighting in the courts. There was so much nastiness in their entire situation. And she finally got custody of her children and was beginning to move on with her life. And he took that woman's life away before taking his own life away. I am disgusted. I am angry. I'm enraged by the numerous Black men, some of them in my fraternity, but just in general, have used this moment to deflect from the tragedy at hand and make it a conversation about mental health. Roland Martin, why would you put a picture of yourself with the family and make it about this, knowing this man for these, like, what the fuck? Like, you know, I will say that Black men in America oftentimes have been given a level of unfair scrutiny compared to other people. But in this situation, the response from Black men that I saw on my timeline, I was just utterly embarrassed. Low-key ashamed. Low-key like, how fucking dare you? Like, it was just frustrating because I'm thinking to myself, is this what y'all got out of this? Like, is this so we're just going to ignore that those kids was in that house. We're going to ignore that the deliberation of taking the mother out and himself out. We're going to talk about mental health, but we're going to ignore the harm, is the most insincere response because you're spending more time having empathy for this fucking jackass. Because let's be very clear, fuck him, because he was already a predator. He was already a creep. And I'm not even going to go down the laundry list of the things he's done to other women, right? Because I believe those women. But he was a pig. He was already a problem. And so to sit up here and censor this man in this way, like, these are the things that as a Black man disturbs me and concerns me with others, is that we get so caught up in proximity to fame and power and fortune that it makes us so arrogant to be able to empathize with other people when folks go wrong. I talk about this in my book, my next book coming out. Like, this shit is just so ridiculous. So for me, no one is anything to me when they do something like that. I have cut people off for far less. I don't give a fuck if we're in the same fraternity. I don't care if we are all black men. The moment you do something like that, I'm not mourning you. I'm not taking no time to unpack what could have caused you to do that. Femicide is on the rise. And femicide is basically a homicide. But when you're killing women, black women, there's multiple stories out there. I won't get into all the minutia because I don't have to, right? I think, to me, black women being killed by their significant others, partners, spouses, whatever, they're being killed. And then not only are these people being killed, but then also the people killing them are killing themselves. But a lot of these times, it's like a homicide. They're out here directly killing people that's in domestic disputes. If the conversation is only going to be focused on the men and trying to humanize them and not pay attention to their behavior, their patterns of behavior, then what the fuck? See, let me be clear about this. A Justin Fairfax was not led astray. He was enabled. When the sexual harassment allegations that he faced came through, I saw men, black men, quickly coming out, defending him. Just, we create scenarios where we allow a jerk to become the ultimate villain. We've seen it. We've seen this pattern of, we see it with the President of the United States, where you just keep giving excuses because you don't want to see. You don't want to see. And my mindset is, if you're a friend with a person that later becomes a rapist, because I had situations like that. There was a guy that I went to college with that raped someone that I knew. And it was a betrayal. I was I was like, I was very just distraught by it. I was hurt. The moment I knew the girl, the victim, now the survivor, but I knew her, and we talked, and I was there for her. And I said, I got your back. And I wasn't, and in that moment, it was a no-brainer for me. Like, I wasn't going to take time to go, oh, he was stressed, he was this. I was like, fuck you. Like, I don't like there's no excuse for rape. There's never going to be, in my opinion, an excuse for rape. Like, you did that shit, fuck you. Like, I called him out. I stood on business. And the irony is, she never pressed charges. She did report him. She was, in many ways, I felt like she was pressured because it was the final semester of our senior year. She was pretty much pressured to basically not press charges because the narrative was, oh, it was complicated. It was this, it was that. And she just felt, I think, the pressure on her to not want to look like she was ruining the future of a black man. But the reality was, he ruined his future the moment he decided to not respect consent. But she's a black woman thinking that she's protecting and saving someone. And so she was put in a very hard place. And it was her agency, it was her choice. And I was heartbroken for her. It was just a very sad situation. And so this man who comes around continues to come around, and his friends that used to be my friends at Penn don't talk to me, act funny with me because they're mad that I spoke out and called him out for it in college. All of us, right, are black, educated people. We all went to this school. To be a to be a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, you have to be, college educated. You have to have a level of community service and integrity and all these things. To go to a school like Penn, to be all these, where all of us, I have been very disgusted lately with that quote unquote talented 10th that really are just trying to replicate a white version of an aristocratic system. They actually don't have any investment or any interest in uplifting the community, not just only financially, but on a very serious ethical standing. To hear a bunch of people go, oh, that's my friend, or that's my fraternity brother, or I'm staying up. It's like, so we have just completely erased the plot. We've not, where's the support for this sister? Where's the support for her family, her children? Why is there so much conversations? And then again, weaponizing mental health. Two things can be true at the same time. He had a mental health struggle, but he was also a sexual abuser. He was also very abusive to his wife prior to this. He was a terrible man through and through. Yes, at one point, he had a bright future. He had made some historical things. He had a bright future. But the moment you sexually assault women, the moment you started being abusive, the moment you start doing all these things, I don't give a fuck about some of the nice things you did. Like, I'm sorry, like what? Oh, Kanye made some good music. Yes, Kanye made some good music, but Kanye also has been a total white supremacist. Or he's aligned himself a white supremacist, let me be clear, because he's not white, he's black, but he has aligned himself a white supremacist. He's literally been promoting swastikas. He's literally been giving praises to Hitler. Like, I just don't understand how you can make excuses for that. And what's even jarring to me, and this is what really concerns me, is that we have seen countless black men in this country be killed by the police and be killed by systems. And we are told that those men who killed them, we don't go, oh, well, it must have been mental health that led that man to kill and shoot that black man, or let's consider this. We don't do any of that. We don't care, right? Because it does not matter. Because that moment we have empathy for whoever lost their life. We don't care whether or not you had a record or whatever your past was. You don't have to be an angel to have a life. But the fact that people are spending more time mourning this man and trying to create a conversation, like the truth of the matter is, the moment he had them allegations, there should have been a call in then. There should have been a conversation of accountability. But no, we just kept throwing it under the box. So now we're arguing uplifting this man's name. The fuck? So Roland Martin says that he took the post down because he was told to, not because you're a liar. He was getting cooked in those comments, and the level of attention it was attracting and the harm, rather than have the humility to say, you know what, I got it wrong, I apologize. You want to continue to find every way to pivot and shift because you don't want to admit that you're wrong. But what can I say? This is a man who has a history of homophobia. This is a man who has a history of being in the pockets of charter school lobbyists to promote school vouchers. This is a man who, man, fuck him. And it's like, and I can say that because he has personally harmed me, and he personally has disrespected me. And he has personally been one of those old heads in the industry that is always coming after young people. Don't know when to shut the fuck up. Don't know when to sit down, mind his business. Or better yet, always wants to be centered because he's a washed up. Listen, I just feel like people are showing their true selves in ways, but the signs were always there. For Justin Fairfax, for Roland Martin, and for other people. for brand. You know, are y'all noticing the pattern? Are y'all noticing the pattern? I am proactive. What I mean by that is I don't wait for things to go on fire. There was always signs with Roland Martin on the way that he talks about things, how he carries out. This is a bourgeoisie man who is an elitist. He's a snob. And he's one of those types of people that literally likes to be in spaces of power to say he's in spaces of power. He'll name drop people. He's done some things, he's achieved some things. But at the end of the day, he does not have the ability to be compassionate enough, to be considerate enough, to recognize when things are wrong. It's okay that all of you are at one point in time may have been cool with Justin Fairfax. I get it, right? The man was popping at one point. He had a bright future. But at one point in time, when a person becomes somebody else, you have to acknowledge that and you have to act accordingly. And I see in this country that no one do that, right? Like Chris Brown has consistently shown various problematic traits. He is not the same bright-eyed, charming young man he was when he was making songs like Run It, right? But you want to hold on to an image so bad that you're willing to screw other people over. The conversation should have been consistently about Dr. Serena. To be talking about other shit, just to me, just misses the mark. Posting pictures of the good times you had with a man who literally killed his wife and murdered a black woman. Like, is that the flex? I don't know what people are doing, but when people showing you who you are, believe them. People are saying all kind of things. They're saying that they don't like the energy of how this has been. And I tell people all the time that at the end of the day, should have been talking shit. Should have been talking shit. That's my mindset. Should have been talking shit. And for me, I just simply made a post. Did not name names, but people, I guess, since who I was talking about. But I wasn't just talking about Roland Martin. I was just talking about all the people who have consistently have, every time something happens with a black man in a way that is embarrassing, rather than us just say, "Hey, shit happens," because I'm not in a pissing match with white people. I don't think there should be a comparison. I don't think that the goal should be, well, when Epstein did what? I mean, why are we? Is that the standard? So you got to be Jeffrey Epstein? But hell, we didn't have Diddy. Let me be quiet. I said, it's a shame that in 2026, some black men can't make things very simple when the harm committed was very clear. So I will. Fuck Justin Fairfax and all the men who harm women sexually, violently, and fatally. I will not celebrate, remember, nor mourn a flagrant abuser. Full stop. My thoughts and prayers are with the family of Dr. Serena Fairfax and other victims of domestic violence. That's my statement. That's where I stand on this. I don't need to put any concessions. I think the conversation around mental health, here's my issue with this. Why we have to have it now as a scapegoat for why a violent, abusive man who was already those ways prior to doing the most unthinkable thing ever. The conversation should have been had long before we got to this point. And what you're not going to do is use this as a way to expunge or to deflect from the legitimate harm and frustration of who this man's legacy was. It was not like he was this great man that automatically just simply had a mental break and did this. That's not what happened here. He was responding to the fact that he was going to be held accountable. So Jeffrey Epstein allegedly killed himself in a prison. Adolf Hitler killed himself before he was held accountable. Do we go, oh, well, let's consider the mental health that would allow a man like that to kill? I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Like, if you imagine somebody going to a school and committing a crime, a school shooting or something, I'm not spending time talking about mental health in that moment. I'm addressing the immediate harm of the victims and the survivors of that situation. And to me, I feel like if you want to have a concept of mental health, have that, but do not conflate it with this. Because now people out here diagnosing people. Everybody out here now want to prescribe this and use that. Like, are you using this why are we using this type of crime as the launching of a conversation around mental health? I just find that to be whack, weak, and deflective. And I just feel like when people feel quick to want to defend people that done harmful shit, dead or alive, I got to side eye them. But the chickens have come home to roost. And that's what I'm getting from this. But I just wanted you all to know what my stance was and how I'm standing on it. Period. So moving along. Movies. This upcoming week, the Michael Jackson biopic is coming out. And I've seen it. I've seen it, guys. I've seen the movie. So I'm going to say this. I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it. I'm just going to be straight up. I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it. I have to say that Anton Fuqua did a good job directing this. I appreciated the movie for what it was. There's a lot of great moments that will definitely give you goosebumps and some charming moments. And you go, wow. You just go like, wow. I don't think I learned anything new about Michael Jackson. And that's because I've also Michael Jackson. So much of the story you're familiar with, but there are some great performances. Coleman Domingo, listen, if this movie does really well and we keep him in the conversation, I do see a Best Supporting Actor nomination for him. Very good performance. I was sold on him as Joe Jackson. He was the best performance in the film. But there were other good performances as well. Nia Long as Katherine Jackson. I enjoyed Nia Long in this role. And I'm so happy she's given a rich role. I feel like we haven't had too many strong, real performances by Nia Long that often. But she was good. There was a good chemistry between her and Coleman Domingo. They was really, for me, Jafar Jackson, which is Jermaine Jackson's son. Good role, nice debut role. He's never acted before in a film. He's not bad. There's some really great moments when he's in it, and I'm just like, wow. Like I'm taken away, right? He's had some good moments. I can, if it's a lazy year in Hollywood this year, I can see a Golden Globe nomination potentially for him. Now, I don't see an Oscar. I don't know. I don't see an Oscar nomination. But a Golden Globe, wouldn't be bad. Couple, maybe some MTV Music Award nominations. I can see some other niche award nominations for him. I don't think Oscar. I don't get that. I definitely think that if there's anyone getting an Oscar nomination out of this entire situation, Coleman Domingo, if they want to push that campaign for him for that. The film itself, it's better than I thought. I've heard speculation that they might want to do a second one. If the movie does really well, they might do a part 2 or something like that. There's a lot of revisionist history. I won't get into specifics, but I'll just say the streets will be talking. There is a little bit of they definitely made some choices, and there's a lot of cutting. And I did do some research. They cut some things out. I don't want to tell it all, but this is a very Michael Jackson fan curated film. Like it's almost, It's very romanticized. That would be the critiques I did have for it. It is very done in a way that is the version of a film that clearly was made for the fans. This is not the kind of film that is made to give you an education or a new perspective. It's pretty safe. There are moments where they do go there in some parts of it, but they just pretty much is overall safe. And so as a biopic, I did not care for it as a biopic. But as a movie, just as an overall movie, if you just, don't look at it so much as that, it's very enjoyable. It is worth going to see. Like, I just feel like it's a cultural experience more so than anything else. And so I don't like calling it a biopic because I feel like the way they made the film, it's such, yeah, it's a love letter for the fans with some great performances and some really great magic. And when it's good, it's great. When there's never a part in the film where I just felt like it was ultimately uber bad. I think some of the ways in which this movie was made, stuff that they intentionally chose to leave out, yeah. And I do wonder if there will be a second part of the film, because I've heard that there's some footage and it was going to make it longer and it was going to be a 2-part, but they kept changing it up. But yeah, I mean, my inner film critic in me is going to that direction. But I just want to say, a lot of people are going to re-love it. A lot of people with my lack of cinema studies understanding about film in this way, they're going to be okay with it because they just like Michael Jackson. And so if you love Michael Jackson, you're going to definitely love this film. And if you're a fan of him or just interested, you're going to have a good time. There are some great laughs. There's just some great moments. I'm not going to tell the moments, but you just feel it. And there's moments where you kind of cry. Like I did get a little wet in the eyes at some stuff. It's just so, yeah, if they do decide to do a second part, I definitely think that they need to really, if they really want to make the film worthy, right? They have to go there. But I don't think they want to. I think they're going to, I don't know. If they make a second version, we'll see. But I really think they're going to probably want to keep the movie very super safe and very but Michael is worth watching. It's worth seeing. I definitely was entertained. Movies I was not entertained about was the Mummy film. Who thought it was a good idea to bring the Mummy back? Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz. I thought we was good with the Mummy Returns, and the Rock. Like, who wanted this movie to come back? Like, who asked for this? I don't know why we did another Mummy. Like, I don't know. It didn't do good at the box office, which makes sense. So that's that. Music. Let me just start by saying July 3rd, the eve of 4th of Jamarcus. I'm telling you right now, do not call me unless it's a job, money, something of emergency. My bestie and I, on the eve of his birthday, will be somewhere listening to Confessions Part 2. Now, I don't know what it was, but last year was the 20th anniversary of Confessions on the Dance Floor. I don't know, but last year it was like one of my most listened to albums. I could not stop listening to Hung Up. And I just kept being like, I don't know, but I need more of this. I need more of this. I need more of whatever this is that this woman is serving, because it's time. We're long overdue for this kind of music, and we need it. We need it. Like, I need a renaissance. I need this. This is Renaissance before Renaissance, okay? This is what we need. Confessions. I need a good dance album. I need the consistency. This is one of my all-time favorite Madonna albums. Now, Ray of Light. I think Ray of Light's my favorite Madonna album. But you know what? But lately, Confessions has been tugging at my heart. So I might actually have to say that Confessions on the Dance Floor is my all-time favorite Madonna album. Number two, a close number two, is Ray of Light. But let me say this, though. I might change my mind in 2 years. I go back and forth with these albums. I've been like this for years. Because Ray of Light do hit different. But Confessions, so I will say both of them are really like a tie to me. Now, other albums I like, y'all play with bedtime stories, but don't play with bedtime stories. Now, Mr. Johnson has become a deep Janet and Madonna fan. He loves Madonna. I am the reason why he listens to Madonna, because he was in the Janet, like he's obsessed with Janet. But with Madonna, he was very like iffy. And I was like, oh, no. You need to understand, because he just never listened. He was just like, oh. But we listened to Charlie XCX, we love the Brat album. I was like, that this kind of is in the same vein of like Madonna's dance music in the early 2000s. He was like, really? I was like, yes. I don't care about what you hear about her, the little jokes. See, y'all play with all of my faves. Everybody wants to crack on not Beyonce, on Britney Spears like she wasn't that girl. Everybody want to make their little jokes about people. Like, when these people were on top of the world, they were on top for a reason. So I said, listen to Confessions on the Dance Floor. Please do. He listened to it. He was obsessed. He bought the vinyl. He's done the most. Then after that, I said, you should listen to Ray of Light. He was like, oh, I don't really know about Ray of Light. And I was like, oh, no. Ray of Light. So then he listened to Ray of Light. Then after Ray of Light, he's listened to bedtime stories. He loves bedtime stories. Oh, no further comment, but he likes that album. But like, he's been moving his way through the music album. He likes the music album. Yes. So he's like catching up and understanding it, because what I want to do is I'm going to convince him to buy these tickets for me to go to Confessions on the Dance Floor. I'm going to make it a trip. Now I'm going to go with my bestie, Jamarcus. I think is the Lip Brothers, will we go? I don't know. I think George likes Madonna. Josh is down for whatever. I don't know if that's a Lip Brother. I feel either way, if she comes to Houston, the tickets will be bought. Mr. Johnson, myself, and Jamarcus, the three of us will go. If the boys are not really hyped about Madonna enough to go to the concert. And the thing is, I'm going on the floor. I'm not doing nosebleeds. Now, if they're not committed to go see Madonna, I've seen her before. I saw her at the Rebel Heart tour. I got good tickets because Mr. Johnson was not a Madonna fan because he didn't know what he was missing. Now looking back, he regrets. He's like, man, I should have went. I said, you didn't know any better. It's okay. Because I got my life. And I miss seeing her when she came to Philly. I had another event for that 40th tour. She was in the Met. I missed that. But Confessions, I will be going. I am super excited about this album. She's coming at the right time. It's time. Especially given that Charlie XCX is pissing me off. She's out here talking about she's doing a rock album, which I don't mind. But she said the dance floor is dead. Now, sis, hold on. You don't get to declare if the dance floor is dead. Baby, Madonna's coming back to save the dance floor. Beyonce had resurrected the dance floor. Your Brat album was the bomb. But don't you sit up here. I was like, and maybe she's being facetious. I don't know. But like, you making a rock album now, she's been in all types of genres in the past. She likes to change genres. Pop music, she's done it all. But don't you sit up here and talk about something the dance floor is dead. Just say you want to change genres. Relax. So moving along with TV, Law and Order Organized Crime is getting canceled after 5 seasons. Who saw that coming? Now, we in the dark ages when Law and Order shows get canceled. Now, this is not Law and Order Special Victims Unit now. No, that's SVU. They ain't going nowhere. But organized crime, listen, they just cannot let my guy get a break. Y'all know, well, first of all, anybody who watched Law and Order know what I'm talking about, okay? They will not let my man get a break. Every time. Like, this is his like second project. Like Christopher Maloney, Stabler. Like, they will not Stabler cannot get a break. But yeah. I mean, he's been the detective since 1999, okay? Detective Stabler has been with us for a long time, okay? He's been with us for over 25 years in that role. Talk about a role, right? He's grown with us. But yeah, we don't got no more organized crime, y'all. But Law and Order SVU is holding on strong. Law and Order is holding on strong. But that was a one for me. That was a cancellation that I just had to name. There's a lot of shows that got canceled or are being canceled. I mean, Palm Beach, whatever that show everybody like, Palm Casino, whatever it's called, with Kristen Wiig. I never was really into it, but people were all sad about that getting canceled. But Palm, yeah, I think it's called. Let me see. I want to be accurate, but yeah, Palm Royale. That's what it's called, Palm Royale. But that show, I guess, but people really was like into it or whatever like that. I didn't think it was all that, to be honest. But I digress. The one show I've been watching, it's my little guilty pleasure, is Scotty with the Body. I'm sorry, Scotty with the Baby. Scotty with the Baby, which is based off of Scotty with the Body, who is a baddie on the show Baddies, but she's been pregnant by the CEO of Zeus. This is the type of drama that is low investment drama that is entertaining, right? And what I mean by low investment drama is that none of these people are like, all these people are like, I don't even call them celebrities, but they're like, I don't want to call them nobodies, but they're people who are like internet celebs, right? Internet famous people that, if you watch Zeus, you know Zeus Network is owned by Lemmy. Now, those who've been watching Baddies or know about Natalie Nunn, which I am here. Let me just say this real quick because I need to name this. Natalie Nunn, the music that she's putting out right now, I'm into this whole little era. Now, she's unserious, but this Natalie Nunn resurrection that we've experienced for the past couple months, I mean, she's at everybody's shows. She performed at Coachella, Cardi B. She's everywhere, okay? And that song, Doing What I Want, is my jam. That is going to be my summer song. I feel like that's my summer song for now. Now, I don't know. A new song might come and take the slot. But right now, mentally, this summer, I'm blasting Doing What I Want all over the place. That is my song. I know the lyrics. Like, it's just such a silly song, but it's got that attitude. And she got another song called Maddie, which is Maddie, Maddie. And that song goes hard too. She's like, she says, these hoes love to gossip. The trending topic. Bop, bop. I love that. I'm here for this. We just need some sass. We need some energy. We need some sass. We need some personality. That's just how I feel. But she does a big one. But anyway, so the drama is that Scotty, there's a woman named Scotty. Her name is Scotland, but she goes by Scotty the Body. And she does have a body. And her name is Scotty. So for those who want to know some drama and may not ever watch this show but want to know the tea. So Natalie Nunn has a show on Zeus Network. Zeus Network is an independent streaming service. It's like $7 a subscription. It's Black owned. Lumiel Plummer is a Black man. He just turned 40. He comes from a family of like media execs. So he's like a Nepo baby in many ways. And they like owned, I think they were religious. They had like televangelist channels, like church channels and things and TV channels and stuff. But he comes from a very rich family. He is a trust fund baby. Like, this man is one of the few that I could say is like a Black elite. Like, his family has been in the media business, TV business, owned things. Like, he's an heiress in many ways. Well, unlike his family, he decides to create a whole channel, not a TV channel, but a streaming channel called Zeus. And there's a lot of controversy about how he got it and owned it. Initially, it was like a couple of different people, like influencers, these Black influencers and folks that came in to do it together. Like, you could go YouTube the whole scandal about the whole Zeus Network thing and a lot of rumors around Zeus itself. But he basically is the owner, okay? This show called Baddies. There's a show. It's a show with a bunch of women. Natalie Nunn basically had Bad Girls Club. She wanted to modernize it for the 2020s era of reality TV. She goes on Zeus Network. She's the executive producer, and she basically brings it. And the show is more violent, more extreme, more wild than Bad Girls Club was. And so she basically brought this type of show there and called it Baddies. And it's become an iconic pop cultural phenomenon in Black culture and beyond, right? So Scotty was one of the contestants on the show, one of the girls who was on the show. She was really close with Natalie Nunn. Lumi, as they call him, he was dating the host of the reunion show. I forget her name, but she's a beautiful woman, Jelena. Um, Johnson, I think her name is Jelena Johnson or something like that. But she's like Miss St. Lucia or something like that. Like she's from the islands, beautiful woman. She's a media girl. She's a moderator girl, journalist background or reporting background or whatever. But she's one of those, like, she wanted to be on TV, broadcaster, but she's very pretty. She won pageants, but she hosts the reunion and she's known for not being a reality TV girl. She's just the girl that comes in and she hosts the reunions. And she still hosts reunions, which we'll get to that. Her and Lumi were dating. Okay. So this is the first like red flag. They were dating. Like was in a long-term relationship to the point that people thought they were married. I thought they were married too, but they were not married. But they were like the couple. Somewhere along the way, Lumi starts privately dating Scotty, even though he was dating the other girl. But like while producing the show and running these shows, he's messing around with one of the castmates of the show. Now, y'all talking about that whole summer house shit with the white girls. I ain't even following that shit. I don't even care. I'm telling you where the real heat is at with Zeus in this situation. So he's dating Scotty while he's also in this long-term relationship, but they having like this private affair. Like they basically was not public. And then next thing you know, he goes public with Scotty, to which we're all like, wait a minute. You've been with Jalinda, like you've been with this girl Jalissa, you've been with her this entire time, and now you with Scotty, and we just not going to address that. And then, mind you, quickly after that, Scotty's pregnant, and now he's doing a show, a reality show, basically talking about her process from her family drama and him and their relationship as they navigate having parents, and now he is on the show as a castmate. So you're a CEO that slept with one of your talent while messing around dating one of your other talent, have this crazy messy like love affair situation. So I'm thinking Jalissa's gonna be like, you know what, fuck you, Lemmy, I'm leaving you, I'm done. No, she's still hosting the baddie reunions. She's moved on, she's keeping her bag, she's staying professional, but she's moving on. And she has to sit up and host a reunion show where one of the contestants she's interviewing about, and he's the man she was with, the man that she was in this long-term relationship with, is now messing with, sleeping with, doing a whole reality show about how they're having a baby. And he's discussing the breakup on the show. Y'all, listen, couldn't be me, but this is mess. It is, listen, it is TV. That if you're into dramatic reality TV, it don't get any spicier than that to me. Like that is the type of TV that makes you go, okay. So that's that. This week ahead is going to be fun. A lot of different things coming up, so stay tuned. I'm back. I'm back bigger than ever. Philly is this. There's so much going on in Philly, y'all. I cannot. I am just every week. I think I say to myself, "Oh, it can't get too crazy," and don't it get? It gets wilder each time. It gets more and more. But as I begin to wrap up and conclude my spring semester, I'm looking forward to some things coming up. There will be I got a restaurant that I'm going to try. I'm not going to tell y'all yet because I'm going to go through it first. I'm going to have dinner at this restaurant for the first time. Brand new restaurant, just came to Philly. I'm going to see what it's about. I'm going to go there and taste it and try it out for all of you. I'm going to see a Broadway musical that's coming to Philly that I haven't seen before. So I'm a little excited because I want to see how this is going to play out. But I've never seen it before. I'm going to see my younger brother. So that's the plan. And there's a couple other surprises happening. But I cannot wait to unpack it all. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. And as always, be well and be best.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.